All right, y'all, welcome to the show. Happy Thursday. Hope everybody out there is having a lovely day. In just a little bit, the MAGA hosts are now no longer playing around, and the ones that remain in MAGA are now basically admitting they're Adolf Hitler. That might sound extreme, but when you see the clip I'm referring to, I think you'll come to the same conclusion. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Fox News is also completely and utterly fucked. Wait until you see the stuff that they've been talking about, that they've been focusing on, and what they haven't been discussing. Lot to say there. Later on, we have a former Trump supporter finally snaps and completely flips and is now saying that they're going to vote Democrat. But this isn't like, any old Trump supporter. I'm talking about Alex Jones' former protege, Owen Schroyer. So really interesting stuff there. I'll show you that clip. And then also, we have multiple U.S. soldiers who have now tried to off themselves by jumping off the USS Lincoln. This is a ship that's been at sea now for way too long, and the crew is basically losing their minds. They don't have proper food. The conditions are absolute trash. And now U.S. soldiers are trying to off themselves because they'd rather do that than live on the ship, which is basically hell at this moment. So I'll break that down. And later on, you don't want to miss this segment, but Trump's border wall is an absolute clusterfuck. And it's not looking good, bro. What's going on right now is not looking good. Wait until you hear some facts about it that I just learned, which will have your jaw on the ground. I mean, this border wall is the dumbest idea of all time. So we'll talk about all that and more. You guys know the deal, bro. Everybody do me a big favor. Please subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. You, of course, can support the show on Patreon if you're so inclined. A massive thank you to all of you who do support the show on Patreon, because you guys make this show work. Even if you just give $1 a month or $2 a month, that goes a very long way. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Remember, y'all, this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. I never will. We've never, taken money from a PAC or a government or, anything like that. I'm very proud of that fact. So thank you all for making that possible. You, of course, can tip as well with the thanks button on YouTube if you're so inclined. Also, sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. Oliver Larkin is coming on the show tomorrow. I am super excited for that. I cannot wait for Oliver Larkin to come on the show, because this guy has been killing it in these Fox News interviews where he's going to war with them. He called Trump a pedophile to a panicked Fox News host's face, and it was glorious. So sign up below to see that as well, and go sub to Corin's World and come hang out with us live on Monday nights. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right in. So this is kind of crazy, y'all. This is kind of crazy, but take a look. The GOP L's account says, breaking, Trump has now lost 286 cases in his second term. Let me repeat that. 286 cases in his second term. That's insane, bro. That is a lot of L's right there. So right off the rip, as I'm sure all of you know, he lost the tariff case. So his trade war was basically nipped in the bud by the judicial branch. Now, the problem with that is we paid the tariffs, but now the corporations are getting the refunds. It's one of the biggest scams I've ever seen. And in fact, I feel like it may have been planned from the beginning, that they knew they would lose the case, and they knew that they could just take the money that they stole from the people and give it right back to the corporations. So I feel like that was the plan from the beginning. But he lost the tariff case. He, of course, lost the birthright citizenship case, which he was trying to make a plainly unconstitutional argument that birthright citizenship is not in the Constitution when it is. But it's insane he lost 6-3. I mean, those three who voted the wrong way, I mean, they should be off the court. It's insane that they could be that dishonest in making a ruling. He also lost a big case on Federal Reserve firings. He can't just fire whoever he wants, whenever he wants, for whatever reason or non-reason he wants. He's lost a lot of cases when it comes to trying to force the states to hand over their voter rolls to the federal government, which is, of course, part of his master plan to try to steal the midterms and steal 2028. But overall, bro, and this is the craziest part, overall, when it comes to the Supreme Court, he has a 90% rate of getting them to side with him, which is insane. I mean, it's absolutely insane. We have a psychotic mad king is running this country, and the Supreme Court rules with him 90% of the time. However, lower courts have stood up to him on a number of different occasions. And Trump's reaction to that, in many instances, has been to just blow the fucking court orders off, right? So let me show you this. This is from a while back, but I wanted to remind you. So Truthout says, Trump administration refuses to abide by 1 in 3 court rulings against its policies. The White House has openly defied court orders at an unprecedented rate, legal experts note. An analysis found that the Trump White House has taken actions to defy 1 out of every 3 judicial rulings against the president's actions. The examination of 160 lawsuits conducted by the Washington Post suggests, quote, widespread non-compliance with America's legal system on the part of President Donald Trump and his administration, the analysis concluded. What's more, the administration seems to be taking advantage of the fact the judicial system is slow to consider, begin, or follow through on contempt proceedings, meaning that their noncompliance often goes unpunished. Indeed, none of the judges whose orders have been ignored have tried to force compliance in the form of punitive orders, the Post analysis found. Part of the reason judges may be reluctant to take such action is that they may want to avoid a constitutional crisis. Such punitive orders, while issued by judges, are followed up by the U.S. Marshal Service, whose director is an executive branch appointee, meaning that the agency, under Trump's orders, may also ignore judicial decrees. The Post examined 337 lawsuits in total, finding 165 cases in which judges had ruled against the administration. The Trump White House has been accused of defying or frustrating court oversight in 57 cases, or around 35% of rulings or orders made against them, the analysis found. So blowing off court orders in 57 separate cases, which makes up 35% of the rulings against them. That's an unprecedented amount, according to legal experts speaking to the publication. So that is absolutely positively insane what we're talking about here. Now, by the way, I should point out that them blowing off 57 court orders, that was of last July. So it's been a whole last year and then some since then, okay? And when you narrow the scope, by the way, to like ICE, for example, ICE has blown off nearly 100 court orders, okay? They've arrested over 400,000 people. They've locked up 70,000, and only 14% of them are accused violent criminals. That's insane. So nearly 90% of the people ICE is going after, totally innocent, but they're going after them aggressively. So 100 court orders, nearly 100 court orders, ICE has blown off. So we are looking at what is, in no uncertain terms, a complete rogue regime in this moment. And it is wild to see. Like, to me, I mean, add it to the list, bro. How many times have we said this? The issue is not, like, if you should impeach Trump. The real issue is, like, which things do you focus on when you go to impeach him? Because they've committed so many crimes on such a regular basis that it's like, shit, how do you narrow it down? How do you know which ones to like say, that one's not as important as this other one? But to me, I don't know, man, you guys tell me, but blowing off court orders this aggressively, this clearly, I mean, that seems like it should be sort of towards the top of the list, especially because it's so fucking provable. And let's not forget, Jack Smith said that if he was allowed to finish his job, that Donald Trump absolutely would have been locked up. That's what Jack Smith said. Jack Smith is a serious prosecutor. I read through the indictment against Trump when he wrote it, and that thing, it was fucking airtight. And he said, look, I had him dead to rights. He probably had him dead to rights on the January 6th stuff and the fake elector slate stuff, but he really had him dead to rights on the classified documents case. And so he would have went to prison. Like, people don't talk about this enough. Donald Trump was going to go to prison. He was going to go to prison. And instead, his ass is back in the White House, and now he's on the most brazen crime spree we've ever seen, maybe in human history, not just U.S. history. I mean, every single day, it's a new crime, it's a new scam. I mean, the self-dealing and the corruption and the graft and the crypto shit, all of it is just insane. So all of that, I really hope there's prosecutors paying attention. I really hope they're tracking everything this rogue regime is doing, and I really hope they're ready for when the time comes. Now, as Crystal has often told me, he's almost certainly going to try to pardon like his entire rogue regime. However, it's possible that he doesn't live long enough to do it, right? Like, he could die before he gets to the point where he pardons them. And if that's the case, oh my God, bro, it is on like Donkey Kong. It's going to be a fucking bonanza in this bitch. We're going for Elon Musk. Your ass is going to be in prison. Okay, we're going for Stephen Miller. We're going for all of these Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War Crimes. We're going for all of these disgusting, putrid, wretched, vile little creatures who take joy and pleasure and glee out of other people's suffering. I mean, the Republican Party is the party of sadists, okay? And they commit crimes so openly, and we have to put a stop to it, period. End of story. We have to put a stop to it. So, I guess the uplifting news is that Donald Trump has now lost 286 cases in his second term. That's the good news. The bad news is he's winning about 90% of his Supreme Court cases, and he's blown off at least 57 different court orders, which is insane that I'm even saying those words. The idea that we have checks and balances, we have rule of law, we have separation of powers, that whole idea has crumbled. And so I hope Democrats are ready for this next chapter of American history, because the rules of the game have changed, and you need to acknowledge that, and you need to adjust accordingly. This man is a wannabe dictator, okay? This man, given the ability, will destroy everything positive about this country. So be prepared to fight back, because you're going to have to do it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to. So Bill O'Reilly used to be the #1 host in cable news. I put news in scare quotes because Fox News is not news. It's a propaganda factory. It's a brainwashing factory, and it's state regime media. So he was the guy during the Bush years who would yell at people to be pro-war day in and day out. He's the guy who would say, you know, how dare you say that Iraq doesn't have weapons of mass destruction? Of course they do, because George W. Bush told us and Dick Cheney told us. So he was like the chief propagandist, the chief liar for decades, and he was at the top of the ratings, okay? This guy is now a fossil. This guy is now disintegrating right in front of our eyes. It looks like his face is slowly melting off, okay? But he has been banished to News Nation land, which is, you know, like a D-tier so-called cable news. By the way, they suck. They're horrible. Like, they branded themselves as like, we're the reasonable, moderate news outlet that wants to hear both sides. Then you tune in, and it's like constant left bashing, all right-wing nonsense, garbage 24/7. They're just like worse at the right-wing propaganda than Fox News and, you know, Newsmax and all the rest of them. But anyway, Leland Vittert, shout out to him. He's the guy who had me on Fox News back in the day when I went on and obliterated the human thumb, whatever his name is, the guy I destroyed. Leland Vittert had on Bill O'Reilly here, and Bill O'Reilly is the military genius. Bill O'Reilly is going to lay out, like, now here's what Donald Trump has to do in order to win this war against Iran. He thinks he's special. He thinks he's hot shit. He thinks he's brilliant and a genius and a military mastermind. And all I'm going to say is prepare yourself. Pucker your booty hole, because this gets real dark real quick. And what you're about to witness is the remaining pro-MAGA hosts, they've basically all morphed into Adolf Hitler. I know that sounds hyperbolic. I know that sounds extreme. The problem is it's true. So here is pro-MAGA host Bill O'Reilly, and listen to what he says Trump should do with this illegal war against Iran.
At this juncture in history, if I were the president of the United States, tomorrow I'd take out Pickaxe Mountain.
Okay. I'll let him continue in a second, but I just need to explain. In order to take out Pickaxe Mountain, you would have to use bunker-busting nuclear weapons. You would have to use tactical nuclear weapons. So Bill O'Reilly is calling for nuking Iran when he says that. And by the way, he's aware of that, because every article on it says in order to actually take out Pickaxe Mountain, where they lie and say, oh, for sure, Iran has their nukes there. Okay, well, in order to do that, you would need to nuke them. So that's what Bill O'Reilly is calling for. Let's continue.
Just as we did a year ago with the other nuclear facility. I'd obliterate it, okay? That'd be number one. And then number two, I would tell the Iranians living in Tehran, the capital city, get out. Because we're going to wreck your infrastructure. That means water. That means power.
Where the fuck are they supposed to go, Bill O'Reilly? You would tell the Iranians living in Tehran to get out, because we're going to destroy all the civilian infrastructure. Okay, that's a war crime. That's not a thing that you're allowed to do in a world that made sense. Could you imagine? Could you imagine Iran does that to us, or Russia does that to us, or China does that to us, or anybody does that to us? Hey, everybody who lives in New York City, get out, because we're going to destroy all the infrastructure there. So you're not going to have water. You're going to die if you stay there. How would he react if somebody did that to us? He's casually saying it, but it gets worse.
Would go crazy. You know what would happen. Democratic Party would jump up and down here. Trump would be almost alone. But that is the way to do it. He's got to make very difficult decisions. He didn't want to kill thousands of civilians. He told me that directly. All right? He didn't want to do it. But now there doesn't seem to be any other choice.
He didn't want to kill thousands of civilians. He told me he didn't want to do it. But now there appears to be no other choice. It sounded better in the original German. Ich den von Schlagen, Fagen, Noten, Heil Hitler. That's what you just did, bro. Why don't you goose step for us? Why don't you zig heil and goose step for us? Because that's what you're doing. The way that okay, guys, you cannot come to this conclusion that he's come to unless he is deeply, deeply bigoted. Because clearly he has dehumanized the Iranians. They don't count. They're not like us. They're the other. He's otherized them. They don't count. There is no chance in hell he would ever think this or say this about any country with white people in it. Hey, sometimes you just got to kill thousands of civilians. Are you fucking kidding me? That includes like women and children. Never mind, innocent men is bad enough. I mean, that's bad enough, right? But women and children too. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, bro. Oh my God, here we go.
Correctly. All right, he didn't want to do it. But now there doesn't seem to be any other choice. So these mullahs aren't going to stop. And when somebody isn't going to...
These mullahs aren't... They're not going to stop what? Defending themselves? Correct, they're not going to stop defending themselves. That's called their right.
Stop. You have to stop them.
Stop them from doing what? They're not attacking our little girl schools. We're attacking their little girl schools. They control the Strait of Hormuz. Well, we shouldn't have fucked around and found out. Before that, they didn't control it. Now they do control it. That's a us problem, not a them problem.
And the only way we can stop them is to destroy the infrastructure of their country, which includes the uranium at Pickaxe and the capital city. You do that, the equation changes.
No, you do that. Here's what happens. You do that, they immediately and instantaneously vaporize all of the civilian infrastructure in the Gulf states, which then renders the entire Middle East uninhabitable, and those people flee to Europe and elsewhere. Okay, you do that, you start a refugee crisis, the likes of which this world has never seen. You absolutely vaporize any and all civilian infrastructure in the Middle East. Forget the water, there's going to be no more clean water. Forget the roads, there's going to be no more roads. You forget the oil infrastructure. You immediately plunge the world into a global depression because Iran would instantly launch on all of the oil infrastructure in the Middle East in that scenario. So that's what you do. He talks about this like he's literally never thought that next step. Okay, we do this, then what do they do? He's never thought about this. He just goes out, I think you should kill a bunch of civilians, maybe a bunch of women, bunch of children. That's what you got to do. I mean, you got no choice when you think about it. You have no choice, so you got to shoot that child in the face. That's what you got to do. Like, this was a guy who was on TV for fucking decades. This is a guy who just said this on TV now. By the way, to the extent that cancel culture exists, could we get a little bit of it now, please? Like, this is the time. I'm a very pro-free speech guy. Probably the one time where I suddenly start going, don't know about it in this case, is when you have really old, decrepit cretins who are calling for mass murder and genocide on live TV. That's like the only time where I go, I'm not sure maybe he should be allowed to do that. I think you should probably pull the plug on this shit. I think he should go back to his nursing home and fucking stay there. Jesus Christ.
The uranium at Pickaxe and the capital city. You do that, the equation changes. The president has to make decisions. He didn't want to go in and use air power to kill civilians. Now that equation is...
By the way, that's exactly what he did. He didn't want to do this thing, which is the thing that he actually did when he bombed the girls' school and he bombed a hospital and he bombed the bridges and he bombed the roads. He didn't want to do the thing, but he did the thing. Now I want him to do the thing even more.
Kill civilians. Now that equation is changed because Iran's doing everything it can to humiliate the United States of America. Everything.
The response to being humiliated because Trump started the dumbest war of all time is that you get to kill their women and children and their innocent men. Is that how it works? Is that how it works? So what about if the shoe's on the foot, on the other foot? What about if we humiliate somebody else? If we humiliate Russia, do they get to nuke us? Is that how this works? I'm just trying to understand the world's rules according to Bill O'Reilly, okay? I'm just trying to understand it. Apparently, the proper reaction to humiliation is mass death and genocide.
And so, enough. You know, we've had enough with Japan. We had enough with Germany. We had enough with a whole bunch of other countries. And we took care of that. And we're going to have to do the same thing with Iran. He's not a weak man. He's not a weak leader. He's calculating now. And he's calculating that Iran will fall before he has to go in and kill thousands of civilians.
Notice he keeps saying it over and over. So what he's got to do is he's got to kill civilians. That's what you got to do is you got to go in there, you got to take out their civilian infrastructure, their water and stuff like that, their roads, but most importantly, kill the civilians. Did I mention killing civilians? I'm in favor of doing that. Bill O'Reilly, you have the same moral core as ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Bill O'Reilly, you have the exact same morality as the Nazis. I hope you realize that. I hope you know that. You are not a good person. This is the definition of a shitty person. This is the definition of an immoral and unethical person. Nobody should listen to you say anything about anything ever again. Because your morality is so fucking warped that it's grotesque.
Go in and kill thousands of civilians. That's the calculation. But nobody knows whether...
Listen to even Leland Vittert, even another like young right-wing guy, even he's like, shut up, here we go, listen.
But nobody knows whether that's going to pan out.
False dichotomy that you're going to have to kill thousands of civilians. You could certainly take on the IRGC and the regime without just slaughtering civilians.
No, you can't, Leland.
Firebombing.
Nobody knows where they are. No.
Did you see that reaction from Bill O'Reilly? Dude says in the most straightforward way possible, you can't just slaughter civilians. I mean, if you want to take the fight to the IRGC, to the government, that's one thing, but you can't just slaughter civilians. And Bill O'Reilly's like, no, you got to kill the civilians. Without missing a beat, he's like, no, you're wrong. See, what you got to do is kill civilians. That's what you got to do. Guys, I don't know, man. This stuff makes me sick. One more time, listen.
False dichotomy that you're going to have to kill thousands of civilians. You could certainly take on the IRGC and the regime without just slaughtering civilians.
No, you can't, Leland.
Firebombing.
Nobody knows where they are. No.
So you got to kill everybody. Nobody knows where the bad guys are, so just level the entire country, kill everybody. That's what I say. That's what Bill O'Reilly say. This stuff genuinely makes me sick, man. It really does. And I think I was naive, man. I really think I was. I mean, I like to think I wasn't, but I kind of now think I was because I thought at the very least we had evolved beyond this, right? Like at the very least, everybody can agree that killing civilians is bad, full stop. That there is no scenario where killing civilians is acceptable. In my estimation, there's no scenario where killing civilians is acceptable. That's just murder. That's just terrorism. like that's like the most basic moral test of all time. It's like right up there with this is like rape is bad, wanton murder is bad, and rape is bad. Like this is so basic. And now we can't even pass this test. I mean, I feel like this country has just degraded in every imaginable way. And now, you know, the chickens are coming home to roost and our true face is being shown to the world. And I thought we evolved past this. You know, back in the day, we used to make the argument that like, oh, we're the world's policemen, but that's okay because we're the good guys because we believe that innocent life matters. And so like other empires before us, they didn't. They were all about plundering and pillaging and stealing the natural resources. We're not like that. Sure, maybe we take their natural resources here and there and whatnot, but I mean, we're the good guys and we care about morality. We care about innocent civilian life. And so it's different. Like we're good. Well, no, that's not true. In fact, it's the opposite. We're just as bad, if not more gross than all previous empires. I mean, that's the bottom line is we're driven by the same sort of sick material pursuits and the same sort of obsessions with power and dominance. Like that drives us. And now the mask is off. And there is not even an attempt to do the holier than thou bit, to do the we're spreading freedom and democracy bit. Like, what's the argument here? Is the argument, oh yeah, we're gonna spread freedom and democracy, and we're so committed to it, we're gonna kill every last Iranian civilian to get them freedom and democracy? What? I don't know, man. Am I crazy, or is this shit right here like? I'm sorry, this is grounds for your ass just like never being on TV again. This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is like a direct imminent threat of violence. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're an Iranian and you're listening to this, how do you react to it? Like, wouldn't they be justified in doing an attack against us because it would be defensive because he's saying this is what we're going to do, right? Like, and how many times has Trump been doing, I'm going to annihilate the entire civilization? It's like, with Trump saying that, doesn't it then make it justified for Iran to defend themselves by any means necessary? given that they're saying, oh, hey, we're going to kill y'all. Like, then they would be defensive if they attacked us in that scenario. Like, we're broadcasting that we're the bad guy. That's what we're broadcasting, that we are the bad guy. I don't know, man. Call me crazy, call me naive, but we got to get this country back to a place of sanity and reason and logic and empathy and just like basic golden rule type moral core and code. Is that really too much to ask for? That we don't like wantonly murder people over being quote unquote humiliated? You know who's responsible for that humiliation? Donald J. Trump. He didn't have to start this illegal war against a country that didn't attack us. He didn't need to do that. He did it, and he did it because he's a warmonger, but also he did it on behalf of Netanyahu and Israel, and he failed miserably. Hold that big, fat, juicy L. Just hold it. But there we go, man. Absolutely disgusting. The hosts that remain with MAGA have all morphed into Adolf Hitler, and this is the true face of MAGA and what it's been all along.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So Fox News is high-key panicking over the upcoming midterms and the fact that, Republicans are down in like literally every single poll, and it's looking like they're going to get their clocks cleaned. And this is wild, bro. This is wild stuff. But shout out to Asen because he posted on Twitter here that he tracked Fox News from 12 p.m. Eastern Time to 10 p.m. Eastern Time the other day. And he wanted to see, well, what are they talking about? What are they focusing on? How are they trying to drive the national media narrative? Now, before I show you, let me just say, make no mistake about it, they do drive the national media narrative. And that's part of the thing that pisses me off about mainstream media is like the right-wing state regime media, they set a narrative, they run with it, and then like CNN plays catch-up. Right? Like all the other mainstream outlets play catch up. And they're not hardcore right wing, but they do the both sides bullshit. And they'll focus on whatever slop is being force fed to them by the right wing networks. And so you don't really have left wing media in this country, never mind liberal media. Sure, you get some of that online, but you don't really get that in any mainstream circles. And that's part of the problem is that the deck is stacked against the left for this reason. So take a look at what they talked about the other day. All day, this is what they talked about. Ready? Fauci, 89 mentions. Abdul El Sayed, 64 mentions. The WNBA, 64 mentions. AOC, 59 mentions. Hong, who, by the way, lost her primary. This was just before she lost primary. 52 mentions. Sophie Cunningham, that's a WNBA player who's anti-trans. 34 mentions. Zoran Mamdani, 32 mentions. And they don't mention him in a positive way. And Hassan Piker, 29. And Asen says, as we get closer to the midterms, I think it's insightful to track what Fox News is focusing its coverage on. The list is based on a review of all Fox News programming from 12 p.m. Eastern Time to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, outnumbered to Hannity, relying on videos and transcripts from the programs. Some notes on the count. Fauci was mostly mentioned in connection with released text messages. Some of El Sayed's coverage was focused on his comments on healthcare. While some of the WNBA coverage did mention Sophie Cunningham, a lot of it seemed more focused on pushing the WNBA to accept Inez Cantor Freedom and Royce White. So that is, for those of you who don't know, that is former NBA players who are now doing this like anti-trans bit where they're pretending like, oh, I'm transitioning to a woman and I'm trans, and so now I'm signing up for the WNBA draft. And they're trying to like do a big gotcha on the WNBA to say, oh, you need better rules to protect women from trans people, and that's why we're doing this. No, you're not. You're doing it because you're right-wing hacks, and you're trying to get like a story in the news, and you're trying to say fuck you to trans people. Weird how this wasn't an issue before y'all fucking idiots made it an issue. And by the way, I should point out, both of these characters who are doing it, both deeply fucking mentally ill. One of them, I think, like, diagnosed so. Okay? They continue and say, the majority of AOC's coverage was focused on her Woke One comment. Will Cain devoted most of his opening to her past comments and tweets. Her mention count would be higher, but she was mentioned only 4 times on the show, despite her tweets and videos making up a large portion of Cain's opening. Hong's mentions came either in reference to the upcoming election or AOC's comments. A lot of Mamdani's mentions came from repeated references to a hearing on the Pieta terror attacks. Hassan Piker's mentions don't count every time they used images of him in the background while covering candidates. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is why Fox News is cooked. This is why they're fucked. This is why they're completely and utterly unserious. They're talking about Dr. Fauci and the WNBA and Hassan Piker. They're talking about that to hide the Epstein files. They don't want to talk about the Epstein files. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about Trump being in there a million times. They don't want to talk about the Katie Johnson allegations against Donald Trump. They don't want to talk about Trump potentially being an Epstein co-conspirator. You know what else they don't want to talk about? They don't want to talk about the fact that up to 742 hospitals are going to close because of MAGA, because of the big bullshit bill that they passed. They don't want to talk about 18 million people being kicked off of Medicaid because of Donald Trump and his stupid fucking bill. They don't want to talk about over 4 million people losing their food stamps because of Trump, meaning kids are going hungry, but they actually might talk about that one, but they say it like it's a success, right? Like, oh, we got 4 million people off food stamps and now they're starving, but you don't say that part, right? They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the multiple illegal wars of aggression. They don't want to talk about Trump kidnapping a sovereign leader and then stealing the oil and gold from Venezuela and putting it in his own fucking bank account. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the Manab little girl school bombing that Trump did, where he massacred 170 precious little Iranian girls. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about gas prices being sky high. They don't want to talk about grocery prices being sky high. They don't want to talk about the job market sucking ass now, as it does. So they've got all these real world issues, bro. All these real world issues. They don't want to touch them with a 10-foot pole. So understand, this is exactly what the Epstein class billionaires want. What they do is, it's called divide and conquer. This is what the Epstein class billionaires do. And the way you achieve that is culture war slop. Oh, no, we're not talking about things that actually matter to people. We're trying to make them care about other shit, right? Like, oh, are you mad about the gas prices? Are you mad about the grocery prices? Are you mad because you lost your health care? No, you're not. You're mad because of trans people. So now we're going to do 3 hours straight coverage going after the WNBA because they don't have clear enough anti-trans rules in their fucking, in their pamphlet or whatever the fuck. I mean, this is a sick joke, but this is what they're doing. They're trying to whip people up into a frenzy. Be pissed at Dr. Fauci. Be pissed at Abdul because he wants to give you health care. Be pissed at the WNBA for not being anti-trans enough. Okay? Be pissed at Francesca Hong because she said like fuck Thanksgiving back in the day. Be pissed at Hassan Piker over totally out of context old clips of his. They have absolutely nothing. They are dog shit and they have nothing. I hope you understand this. The Republicans are dog shit and they have nothing. Why do you think in their campaign against James Tallarico, what do? They lean into calling him James Talafrico. And they run against, oh, he's way too pro-trans. How dare he? He should say fuck you to trans people like we do. Why are we talking about this? What are you doing here? You're throwing trans people under the bus for what fucking purpose? Again, it's because they can't talk about the minimum wage. They can't talk about free college. They can't talk about universal health care. They can't talk about the Epstein files because they're the pedo protection party, okay? They can't talk about any of these things. They can't talk about corruption because Trump is the most corrupt president in U.S. history by far, and it's not even close. So they can't talk about that either. So this is what they're focused on. Now, what I need to get across to the rest of the media outlets is grow a fucking spine and grow a brain, please, and set your own agenda. Like, hello, you could actually talk about the things that are important. You could actually talk, like, for example, a story just came out the other day about how Donald Trump is apparently allegedly paying mercenaries who are mass murdering Ecuadorian fishermen for him. Remember all the attacks, the drone strikes against innocent people in the Caribbean and the Pacific? They're apparently paying like gangster mercenaries to murder innocent people. Why don't you fucking talk about that? I feel like that's a little bit more important than some bullshit anti-trans garbage that was mucked up to distract people on purpose. Why don't you talk about that? Like, I just need CNN to get serious. I need them to stop with the both sides false equivalence bullshit. I need them to tell the truth. I need them to have their moral outrage meter recalibrated, maybe talk more about the illegal war crimes Trump is committing, maybe talk more about the self-dealing and less about whatever nonsense Fox News is forcing on us. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do it because they're so used to just being like weak little cucks who just like go with the flow, and the flow is just right-wing garbage day in and day out. But you know what? I shouldn't be complaining because fact of the matter is that's why people watch this show, because you're not getting this in mainstream media. You're not getting a focus on the shit that actually matters. You know what I'm saying? And that's why people come here. It's like, hey, at least he's talking about real shit. At least he's talking about real shit. And at least he's mad at the right people. But no, here we are. So Fox News is completely and utterly falling apart at the seams, and it's embarrassing. Like the fact that they're talking about this shit, this is embarrassing. I do think that the material reality for so many people in this moment is so bad that these tricks are not going to work. Like, sometimes they do work. Let's keep it real. Sometimes these divide and conquer tricks, the culture war slop, sometimes it works. But I don't think in this moment that it will work, because when gas prices are this high, when grocery prices are this high, people are fucking pissed off. And that's why Trump has a 36% approval rating. And then never mind the fact, you feel the pain from that. And then that other stuff resonates even more because of that. Like, I'm pissed off. So then you tell me that there's an Epstein pedophile cabal that Trump's in and he's protecting all the people. Well, fuck him, right? Fuck him. And now you're telling me that we're bombing little girls in Iran and spending $1 billion a day to commit war crimes instead of spending that money here? What the fuck are we doing? I just lost my health care, but you can spend over $100 billion in a stupid war of aggression? Fuck that. So people are feeling it. So I don't think this shit is going to work.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So Bernie Sanders came out the other day and he said the quiet part loud about Abdul el-Sayed and why the right is so afraid of him and what their strategy is against him. And this is something that everybody's got to sit with, man, because this is real. What he's saying is real as a heart attack. Let's listen.
Some MAGA candidates also make that argument. But this is a real attack line being focused on Dr. el-Sayed in particular.
Well, let's be clear. I mean, from Trump on down, you have Trump, who is in many ways an authoritarian type, and he is going to go after el-Sayed because, for racist reasons. I think their first announcement after Abdul won is he is a Muslim, and we're all supposed to hate Muslims. These guys have nothing to say about the major crises facing our country. All they could do is appeal to racism. We're communists, all kinds of nonsense like that. But I think that at the end of the day, the people of Michigan understand that the status quo is not working. We need a candidate like Abdul who has the guts to stand up for working class families. This guy wrote a book. He's a doctor on Medicare for all. Yeah. The current healthcare system is broken. We got to guarantee healthcare to all people. Abdul understands that and will help us move in that direction.
The right only has one thing, and it's racism, it's bigotry, it's Islamophobia, it's be afraid of the other. And that's why they're using the same trick they used on Obama. How many times? I can remember it. I was around at the time. I was recording YouTube videos at the time as a hobby, but they would, Barack Hussein Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. And they would go after Obama because he had that pastor, Jeremiah Wright, who said, God bless America, God damn America. And they tried to, crazy, wacky pastor. Meanwhile, John McCain also had a psycho pastor who said psycho right-wing shit wasn't an issue. So what are they doing here? You know exactly what they're doing. They're otherizing him. They're going, Barack Hussein Obama, he's got dark skin. Be afraid, bro. Be afraid. He's not like you, bro. That's exactly what they're doing. So they're trying the same thing with Abdul. They're using his full name, which I don't even know his full name. It's like Abdul Rahman Muhammad el-Sayed or something like that. But you know what they're doing. Everybody knows what they're doing. It's so obvious. It's so clear. Now, by the way, in 2007 and 2008, that shit didn't work. Okay? Now, to be fair, America's ugliest version of itself has reemerged with Donald Trump and MAGA and their open racism. However, they are a very loud and aggressive minority of the country. He's only got a 36% approval rating on average right now, which means if your terrible fucking bigoted trick didn't work back in 2007, 2008, what the fuck makes you think it's going to work 20 years later? Okay? It's not going to work. And here's the open secret. This is what people are not talking about. And shout out to Nathan J. Robinson because he's the one who said this to me the other day. Abdul wants them to react like this. Abdul has them trapped. They're trapped. Because what he's doing is he's baiting Republicans into being the worst version of themselves. This is what Obama did. What was Obama so brilliant at? He would trigger the right into overreaching, being super bigoted, being super extreme, and he wouldn't even have to say anything or do anything. He would just become the default preferred option of normie Americans. Because they go, I don't know, that guy seems pretty chill and normal, and these Republicans seem fucking crazy. Think at the time of Donald Trump going around going, where's his birth certificate? I need to see his birth. I don't think that's his real birth certificate. That's it. We need the long form one. That's not the long form one. He doesn't know. This guy's foreign. He's different. He's a Marxist. He's a Muslim. He's this, he's that. And everybody's like, what the fuck? Calm the fuck down. That's not true. He's born in Hawaii. We know. We see the evidence. What are you talking about? So Abdul is baiting Republicans into being the worst version of themselves, which is exactly what Obama did. And so I think they are walking directly into Abdul's trap. I think he laid a perfect trap. And as they are being racist and bigoted and Islamophobic, and that's their only line of attack, basically implying, or if not outright saying he's a terrorist, what's Abdul doing? He's out there going, I want more money in your pocket. I want you to have health care. I want it to be free at the point of service. I want to end the corruption in the system. I want to end this illegal war of aggression against a country that didn't attack us and take that money and spend it here on you. And so while they do the Abdul Rahman Muhammad El Sayed, be afraid, he's like, shut the fuck up. Here's what I actually want to do to fix the problems. What do you want to do to fix the problems? And their reaction, do you see Mike Rogers' smug-ass video the other day where he came out and he was like, I know a lot of Democrats are sad that this primary went the way it went, but just know there's a place for you here in my campaign. Meanwhile, Haley Stevens is out there like, I'm 100% on Abdul's side. I'm going to campaign with him. I support him. I'm going to do, media hits where I say vote for Abdul. And so what world are you living in, bro? Dude, you are part of the Trump dick sucker club. In what world do you think Democrats are, oh yeah, my preferred candidate didn't win in the primary, therefore, now I'm going to be a fascist. Now I'm going to be pro-imperialism and terrorism and corruption. It's not going to fucking happen. It's not going to happen. So, I think they're sort of cooked here. I think that they walked right into Abdul's trap, and Abdul is going to laser focus on the issues. And the other thing is, even if they try to fight him on the issues, they're going to lose. I mean, we just saw this the other day. We covered it. You had somebody on CNN and somebody on Fox News going, he's in favor of taking away your healthcare. He's literally in favor of giving everybody healthcare. It is the exact opposite of what you're saying. And they try to make it seem like it's scandalous. It's not scandalous. He's right. He's 100% correct. So, Bernie's telling the truth there. He's saying the quiet part loud, that all the Republicans have is bigotry. That's literally all they have. The idea of a Republican actually running on policies is, it's comical. It's laughable. I can't tell you the last time a Republican actually ran on policies and believed in a certain set of policies. All they believe in is cutting taxes for the billionaires, supporting the Epstein class nonstop. All they believe in is endless wars of aggression, self-dealing, authoritarianism when it comes to your private life, right? They're anti-trans, they're anti-gay, they're anti-fucking every minority group. What are they for? They're just for sadism. The core of conservatism and the core of MAGA is sadism. And that's coming through. And in this moment where you have that and you're up against somebody who actually cares about fixing this country, I think that decision is going to be pretty straightforward for a lot of people.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
Alex Jones, for a long time, he had a bit of a protege, I guess you can call it. There's this guy by the name of Owen Schroyer, who's basically like, a right-leaning pundit. He was sort of a conspiracy-minded pundit. He was a MAGA guy for quite a long time, in the same way that Alex Jones was a MAGA guy for quite a long time. But funny enough, Alex Jones and Owen Schroyer broke up. And the reason they broke up is that Owen Schroyer was wise to Trump's bullshit before Alex. He was also wise to Israel's bullshit before Alex. And so he didn't want to toe the line anymore. He didn't want to be, a fucking MAGA sheep, a MAGA lemming. And he didn't want to pretend like Israel's not a problem when they are. And so while Alex was still out there coddling Donald Trump's nuts, when Alex was still out there downplaying the nefarious actions of Israel, Owen was like, fuck this, I'm out. Okay, so he broke up with Alex, started his own show, and is doing his own thing independently now. And you know what's funny is eventually Alex decided to catch up to Owen. Now, by the way, I wonder if Alex has called Owen to apologize and to say, hey, you know what, man, you were right, I was wrong. You were right about Israel. You were right about Trump. You're right about the endless wars. You're right about the corruption. I was wrong. By the way, he was a dick about it too. I don't know if you guys know this, but Alex went after Owen pretty aggressively when Owen kept it classy. Okay? Well, so now Owen's out there doing his thing. Alex is desperately trying to catch up now. And by the way, I think the reason Alex did it is simply to maintain relevance. I think it became very obvious that you're going down with the ship if you stay with Trump. He's got a 36% approval rating on average. The low I've seen is 30. Everybody fucking hates this guy. He's got no juice left, bro. He's a fat pedophile, war criminal, con man, terrorist, rapist, sadist. Like what? Every negative word you can think of. That's what Trump is. So I think Alex did it not for any principled reason. He just knew I'm losing relevance, and so like I gotta flip up on Trump. Here's Owen Schroyer, and he decided, oh no, I'm gonna take it a step further now. Interesting. So what does he have to say about Trump these days? Here we go.
The only answer might be Democrats getting in there and stopping this administration. Democrats getting in there and stopping Trump from all the damage he's doing to this country. It might be the only option. That's what people are realizing. Wake up, guys. Wake up, MAGA. Hey, I get it. You thought it was all great. No. Wake up. Wake up. Trump is George Bush, maybe worse. The economy's not getting any better. The Pentagon is broke. The debt is at a record high. Americans' debt is at a record high. You're in the Middle East. Americans are coming back in body bags. Wake up. Wake up. You have been sold out. Trump sold you out. And I wonder how many of these Americans that signed up for the military, a 19-year-old girl, a 19-year-old girl signs up for the military. She's dead now. I wonder if she signed up because she believed Donald Trump.
So let's repeat it here. Owen Schroyer says he's voting for Democrats to stop Trump's administration. Quote, the only answer might be Democrats getting in there and stopping Trump from all the damage he's doing to this country. Wake up. You've been sold out. The only answer might be Democrats getting in there and stopping Trump. I'm going to say the exact same shit I say in all the other segments where I cover these guys, the Tim Dillons, the Andrew Schultz, the Alex Jones. If you want to know what the truth is right now, tune into this show. Because he's saying the shit. Now, to his credit, he said it before Alex and before many others on the right. But he's saying shit that I was saying fucking years ago. Okay. In fact, that line, Trump is George Bush. How many times have I told you that? Trump is George W. Bush on steroids. What did George W. Bush do to us? He gave us multiple illegal wars of aggression that he kept us in, right? And he also delivered a subprime mortgage crisis and a great recession. He did tax cuts for the rich. He did deregulation out the wazoo so that corporations could get away with whatever crimes they want to get away with, right? Trump is doing all of that on steroids. As you all know, we got glyphosate being sprayed on all the food now. Guess what? We're all going to get cancer younger and die. They're dumping coal ash in our water. He destroyed the Clean Water Act. He destroyed the Clean Air Act. He's letting the Epstein class loot the Treasury day in and day out. Like, it is disgusting what this country's become under him, but it's all totally predictable. Why? Because the Republican Party is a fascist, terrorist, imperialist, sadistic death cult. And what they want to do is exactly what Trump is doing. This is the Republican agenda. The Republican agenda is deregulation and let the corporations do whatever the fuck they want, give all the money to the Epstein-class billionaire pedophiles, okay, and start as many wars as humanly possible because we try to dominate the world and we try to steal the world's natural resources. That's what's going on. And so if you want to hear the truth and you want to know the truth, you come to this show and you'll get it 2 years before these guys will start saying it. But you bet your ass, eventually they'll start saying it. Eventually, they'll start saying it when they realize, oh shit, nobody accepts any other opinion right now because it's so fucking obvious when we're dealing with Donald Trump. Has there ever been somebody who has been as full of shit as him in human history? I don't know. Because you've seen the compilations. The fucking, 70 clips straight of him going, we're going to end the wars. No more stupid wars. We're not going to war in Iran. We're going to end the wars. What are we doing in the Middle East? Wasting our blood, wasting our treasure. Boom, starts another illegal war. But again, not like it wasn't predictable, because in his first term, he was a fucking warmonger. He hired every neocon in Washington, D.C. and did neocon shit. He increased the Pentagon budget every single year. He illegally assassinated Qasem Soleimani, the top Iranian commander. He ripped up the Iranian nuclear agreement, which was a sign that bad things were coming. He tried to coup Venezuela. Do I need to go on? The signs were always there. What he says and what he does, those are always different things, okay? And some people warned you, and some people were riding Trump's nuts. And everybody on the right at this point, the real ones will just apologize, right? The real ones will just be like, I was wrong. I should have listened to the left. And from now on, listen to the left first because they're going to tell you the truth. Whereas we're struggling. We're struggling to keep up here, but maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, maybe then we'll catch up. Give me maybe 5 or 6 years, and then maybe we'll catch up. Or you can just get the truth from us. right? I saw this with Tim Dillon too all the time, man. Like all of a sudden he started saying like, wait, you are the deep state. You are, protecting Epstein. Yes. And we told you that shit was going to happen and you didn't buy it. You told us we're hyperbolic and we're crazy for saying Trump's a warmonger. We're hyperbolic and we're crazy for saying Trump's corrupt. We're hyperbolic and we're crazy for saying Trump is the establishment and he is the deep state. But no, now everybody realizes, well, it's a little too late and the fascism is here. So there's going to be plenty of people, including in my audience, who don't accept any of these motherfucking apologies, even if they deliver the apology. Because it's like, shit, you were told and you didn't listen and now here we are. And everybody's panicking, everybody's hair on fire. I've never seen a situation where the consensus is so strong when it comes to one man. But it is. When it comes to Trump, the consensus is over the top. It's basically only Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin at this point are the only two people left who are still slobbing on that knob. They're the only two left. And, well, you see what's happening to them. I mean, Shapiro's relevance is non-existent now. Basically, nobody watches his show. So there you have it. But the right is in disarray, to say the very least. And now they're at the point where people who you never in a million years would have thought would come out and say it, now they're going, shit, I'm voting Democrat. I'm supporting Democrats. We heard Fuentes say this shit too. I'm voting Democrat. Now, but I will say, don't get it twisted. When it comes to many of them, they're still nefarious. Fuentes in particular, he's mad at Trump because Trump is not being fascist enough. He's mad at Trump because he didn't shove enough immigrants in concentration camps. Okay? That's why Fuentes is pissed. So there is such a thing as being on the right side for the wrong reason. And many of these people are like this, whether it be Tucker or Nick Fuentes. I can't speak to Owen because I don't know as much about Owen, but those other, they're nefarious characters, many of them.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So this right here is truly an under-discussed story, and it's absolutely psychotic when you hear the specifics. So take a look at this from the Cradle. They say, 6 people have tried to jump off the USS Lincoln, the big warship. The most recent was last Monday. So understand that these people have been at sea for way longer than they were originally supposed to be at sea, because Trump is, potentially going to use them in his illegal war against Iran. But they were only prepared to be at sea for a certain amount of time. They far surpassed that. They don't have the supplies they need. The ship is dirty. There's all sorts of problems with it. And simply put, the soldiers are losing their mind. The sailors are losing their minds. I mean, very openly, very clearly. You're going to get some more specifics here, but this is a dire situation. Listen to this.
You guys, there's a mental health crisis happening aboard the USS Lincoln in the Middle East that no one is talking about, and mainly because the Navy's pretty much quashing it. You will read online about food shortages, supply shortages, poor morale among crew members. That's because they've been at sea continuously for 250 days.
They've been at sea for 250. Bruh. There is no world where I would be at sea for 250 days and maintain my sanity. 0% chance I would maintain my sanity in that scenario, and 0% chance you would maintain your sanity in that scenario.
They've been deployed a total of 271 days, 250 without a port of call. That's unheard of. Normally they would go to port every 3 to 6 weeks.
So you're used to going every 3 weeks. And now you've been out there for 250. No shot, son. No shot.
They have not been to port in 38 weeks. Keep in mind there are 52 weeks in a year. And yes, the showers are moldy. They're eating basically like a gruel kind of slop at this point. There's no deodorant. There's no toothpaste. My nephew has a friend on board there, and I was basically hearing updates last week when I was in the States in real time. They're not talking about the mental health crisis. 6 people have tried to jump off that ship. The most recent was last Monday.
So understand, what he's describing here is 6 people tried to commit suicide. That's what that is. 6 U.S. soldiers aboard this ship have tried to end their lives because they'd rather do that than continue to be at sea.
When you have not touched land in 38 weeks, in over 200 days, things start to happen to you mentally. Combine that with exhaustion, and deadly mistakes start to happen. So, this is how the Department of War, this is how Donald Trump treats our servicemen and women whose lives are already being put in harm's way for a bullshit war of aggression that was supposed to be over in a matter of weeks. We are further putting their lives at risk out of sheer ineptitude and neglect. It defies logic, it defies reason, and it defies basic fucking humanity.
Dare I say this is like quite literally exactly what I would expect from somebody like Donald Trump and somebody like Pete Kegsbrett, the Secretary of War Crimes. Dare I say this is like par for the course when dealing with them. The fact of the matter is, everybody to them is just a pawn on the chessboard. Trump will throw anybody and everybody under the bus instantly when it comes to protecting his own ass. And this is just another example of that. In their mind, they feel like, hey, we want this ship there because maybe we need to use it to attack Iran or whatever the fuck. And so just stay there until I say otherwise. And they're not thinking about it. They don't care. They probably don't give a shit that they ran out of fucking deodorant and toothpaste and there's moldy showers and gross food that barely counts as food and people are getting sick and, people are trying to kill themselves. They don't care. They don't care because this is the type of guy. Understand something, guys. This is the type of guy. He doesn't dot his I's. He doesn't cross his T's. He doesn't care about actually doing the serious work of governance. He doesn't care about competence. This is a guy who wants all the adoration and adulation and all of the credit when something goes good. And when something goes bad, he'll pawn it off to others and say, they did it. I didn't do it. This is a guy who allegedly there was a threat against his life. And so he went from Air Force One and hid on a third plane. So he's got the Qatari Air Force One. They said he was going to the original Air Force One. He wasn't. He went to the third plane, which is a totally different plane. But he left the reporters and Marco Rubio on the jet, where there was allegedly a threat against his life. He left them there to potentially get killed. It's literally like rich guy on the Titanic sneaks onto a lifeboat type shit and takes a spot from women and children type shit. That's who Donald Trump is. He doesn't give a fuck about these soldiers. And by the way, let's be clear. What's going to be a side effect of stories like this? The side effect is nobody's going to sign up for the U.S. military. Because why would you? They don't look after you. They don't care for you. Your life is totally fucking expendable. So why would anybody? It reminds me of the same stories like when ICE was going after immigrants and some of the immigrants were literally veterans. The message that sends is, if you're an immigrant, don't you dare sign up for the U.S. military because we don't care about you. We're not going to treat you equal. You're not earning your way into this country by joining the military. You do for us and we do dick for you. Absolutely nothing. And so what's the message being sent? The message in every front. The message when it comes to the best and the brightest and the medical research and the scientific research at our university system in this country. Now the message is, fuck you. We don't want you here. Let's have brain drain and let everybody go to Europe and go to other places because we don't want you here. And so the message is very clear. Fuck off is the message across the board. And this is the message of fuck off. This is a message of we don't care about you. We don't think about you. We don't care about your living conditions. We don't care about the competence to make you guys, sustainable, to make you fruitful. We're just going to basically physically torture you and to the point where many of you want to fucking kill yourselves. We're going to physically torture you and then either send you to go get blown up by Iran or let you come back home where, I'm sure mutiny is inevitable at this point where these people who are on the ship, they're going to of course they're going to leave the military. Why wouldn't they? I would get dishonorably discharged for this shit in a second. Are you fucking kidding me? You're going to torture me in this? No, I'm out. I'm done. You don't have food for me. You got moldy showers. You got me out there for 250 days. I'm done, bro. You could honorably discharge me or dishonorably discharge me, but I'm not going to stand for this shit. No shot. No shot. So, but this is it. The story is it's perfect. It encapsulates Trump and Trumpism so well. You know what I'm saying? This is Trumpism. It's like the actual people are an afterthought. He doesn't care about the details. He doesn't care about the specifics. He views these people as not even like people. They're just like tools that he uses. Yeah, maybe I'll use you to blow up a little Iranian girls' school, but I don't think about you. I don't care about you. I care about you the same amount I care about those little Iranian girls that we just blew up. That's how much he thinks or cares about these people. So I'm going to say it again. What did y'all learn, man? What did you learn? This is who this man is. This is what he represents. This is what it is. He is completely and utterly incompetent, but also deeply foolish, deeply unprepared, but also evil and rotten to his core and completely and utterly immoral. And this story I feel like that really sums it up very well. So, there you have it. I mean, it's so crazy that at some point there's not like a mechanism by which, you know, they could just say, fuck it, we're coming back, right? Like, at some point, you know, like, basic survival's got to overtake everything. And it's like, sorry, we got to come back, bro. We can't be out here any longer. But no, instead, Trump is just going to torture them. By the way, it just occurred to me, like, as all this is happening, Trump's out there fucking, like, golfing multiple days at his Bedminster golf course. And he's got like, anti-aircraft missiles out there with him. Like, this fucking little, this obese pedophile bitch is out there playing golf as the country's falling apart, and he's got soldiers in this sort of a scenario. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. He won't think twice about the 18 people who died in the U.S. military or the thousands of Iranian civilians who died. He won't think twice about it. Won't mean anything to him, not even a little bit.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, we got to talk about this. This sort of went viral online here, but you had the Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Kegsbreath. He was at some event here with Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, and many people are saying that our Secretary of War Crimes appears gacked off his ass. Okay? He is zooted. He is geeked up like a motherfucker here, y'all. Appears to potentially, allegedly, be using that booger sugar. Know what I'm saying? Now, a little bit of that in this bitch. So here we go. Aaron Rupar says, Pete Hegseth wipes his nose, then runs his hand through his hair. Kylie Chung says, genuinely never seen anyone this hashtag caught. So here we go.
And the first C-17
to
come to Charleston Air Force Base was called the Spirit of Charleston.
Oh, yeah. Look at the eyes and look at the motion, the movement, too. That is the face of a cokehead right there. Watch again. Here we go.
And the first C-17
look at his eyes, intently listening.
Charleston Air Force Base was called the Spirit of Charleston.
Oh yeah, somebody go get a close up of his pupils, bro. Somebody go get a close up of his pupils. Look at that smile. That's a devious ass smile. One more time. We got nose, hair, standing weird, look. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, but that's not it. So when he's giving his speech, Jamie Bonkwit says he's zooted out of his fucking mind. Okay. Hegseth is sweating. Quote, I'm a Norwegian from Minnesota. That's why I sweat like a son of a bitch. This is South Carolina in August. Hey, what's another side effect of upper use? Sweating. Here we go. Watch.
Globe, which is how we have to fight. By the way, I'm a Norwegian from Minnesota. So I sweat like a son of a bitch. This is South Carolina in August. That tactical innovation.
Oh, no. Oh, Pete, what have you done? Look at him.
Globe, which is how we have to fight. By the way, I'm a Norwegian from Minnesota. So I sweat like a son of a bitch. This is South Carolina in August. That tactical innovation.
Bro, y'all are so caught. I mean, they have to know that we know, right? Like, they have to know that we know. You're not fooling anybody, homie. Nobody's being fooled. Okay, remember this? Trump Jr., ironically, as he went after Hunter for his drug problems, which Hunter is now clean and sober, right? Well, here's Don Jr. This was from The Daily Show, but they said cocaine news with Donald Trump Jr. And this is just a little peek into what Don Jr. is like all the time with his glassy ass eyes. He's on all sorts of shit. Look at this.
Want a news show that parties?
The guys in the room here are like, oh, hey, oh, hey. Okay, wait a minute.
Watch Cocaine News with your host, Donald Trump Jr.
Let's see which way the wind is blowing.
Hot takes.
If Lizzo's oppressed, then so am I, right?
Hard drugs.
We're like, wow, it's crazy. You don't have ideas?
And all the finger quotes you can handle.
The Inflation Reduction of Violence of January.
Look at the eyes, bro.
I hope Trump comes.
I'm gonna punch him out. This is my moment. I've been waiting for this. For trespassing on Capitol grounds. I'm gonna punch him out. I'm gonna go to jail. And I'm gonna be happy.
Cutting off fat rails of journalism.
Just insanity after insanity. They'll come up with a way to word it and say, well, this isn't exactly what we're doing. Human would also have man in it. We could just move to a blue state, basically gonna do nothing, unlike all the prior presidents. A small nuclear war. Not a big one. That could be bad.
That's pure uncut news candy.
I don't know whether to be upset or impressed.
Cocaine news.
Donald Trump Jr.'s own
Oh my God, his eyes, bro. Dog, your eyes are such a giveaway, homie.
Trump Jr.'s on cocaine. Don Jr.'s on coke. I have a cocaine addiction.
Weekends, 3 a.m.
Jesus. Then there was this one. Remember this? Narco Rubio. We covered this. I believe I covered this one because it was just so obvious. Here he is, like, giving a press conference, and you'll see.
Vladimir Putin
knows.
Today,
I thought you were introducing yourself.
No.
I'm Vladimir
Definitely
Putin.
not.
Oh, man, look at the eyes. Oh, my days. Guys, watch the nose touch.
Yes, sir.
Vladimir Putin today.
I thought you were introducing yourself.
No.
I'm Vladimir.
Way more talkative than he normally is.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Vladimir
What
Putin.
are you doing here?
Nick Schifrin, PBS NewsHour. Vladimir Putin had his own end-of-year press conference today.
Oh, he's trying to step on my message.
Yeah. His went, I think,
much more talkative. Oh, the mouth. Oh no. Oh,
4 hours. So we got,
don't
at
worry
least
about
3
that.
hours. And he said he was willing to end the war in Ukraine.
I bet you he didn't do it in Spanish.
He did not.
All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh God, he's so high.
No, I'm sorry. He said he was willing to end the war in Ukraine based on principles he had outlined last summer, and that included a complete Ukrainian withdrawal from 4 regions, most of which are not occupied by Russia, recognition of
the tongue. Oh no.
Occupied Russian territory in Ukraine, and the complete lifting of sanctions. That goes beyond some of the recent conversations you've been having. So do you think Putin is serious?
Caught. Homie's caught. They're all caught. And that reminded me, remember this, guys? Rolling Stone from March 3rd, 2024. Trump's White House was, quote, awash in speed and Xanax. Under Trump, the White House medical unit was like the Wild West, and staffers had easy access to powerful stimulants and sedatives, sources tell Rolling Stone. In fact, here's the Business Insider piece. The White House medical unit operated a pharmacy that gave out controlled substances to ineligible Trump staffers, report said. Gee, I wonder what they were using it for. The White House medical unit gave out controlled substances to ineligible Trump staffers, according to a new report from the U.S. Department of Defense Office of Inspector General. The report, which was based on an analysis of the unit's records from 2017 to 19, found that it violated federal law and regulation and DOD policy and had severe and systemic problems during the Trump administration. Quote, the White House medical unit dispensed prescription medications, including controlled substances, to ineligible White House staff. Additionally, we found that the White House medical unit did not follow DOD guidelines for verifying patients' eligibility. The drugs dispensed included fentanyl, morphine, ketamine, hydrocodone, Provigil, which is a powerful upper, Ambien, diazepam, Versed, and Tramadol, which is a big opioid. And then if you actually like zoom in here, it's kind of hard to see, but basically like every drug you could think of that's like a psychoactive substance, they're all here, bro. They were getting high as a donkey's balls, son. That's actually not the right saying. High as a giraffe's balls. Let's go with that. They were, oh my days, they were all so fucked up. So where was all this medicine going? Who took this medicine? And where was it going? Was it being sold? Was it being used by everybody within the regime? Well, I'll tell you one thing. For sure, you got some people very close to the president who, a little bit of that booger sugar or some sort of upper. And remember, there's allegations of Trump as well, Trump himself as well, being a speed addict over the course of his life. In fact, people who worked with him on The Apprentice say he used to snort Adderall. There's, of course, that infamous debate that he had with Hillary Clinton, where he was doing that throughout the debate. That was after he got caught with the grab him by the pussy clip, and then he went out there and had to defend himself in that debate. It looked like he was flying high on Adderall, or some sort of upper. So anyway, lot going on here, bro. Lot going on here, and I think anybody who knows anything about drugs can see it for what it is.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So I'm going to ask you this question. What is even the point of Mark Levin's show on Fox News? I mean, it really feels like it's just the Israel lobby installed a guy in prime time on Fox News to try to spread their message. It's almost like he works directly for Mossad, except that might not make sense because I don't know anybody who hurts the Israeli cause more than Mark Levin, because nobody fucking likes this guy. There's never been a more nasally, preachy, screechy, annoying-ass voice arguing for the most atrocious things you've ever seen. And he does it every night. Like, every night on his show is like, why don't we commit more war crimes night? Every night is like, I need more death. I need more destruction. I need more Iranian babies to be blown up. I need more Palestinians to be fed into the meat grinder. Like, I genuinely don't. It's insane how this man is still going and feels no sense of shame, no sense of humiliation. So he goes out on his show the other day, and he throws a fit here over the fact that, young Americans seemingly are not interested in going to fight in Iran and potentially get blown the fuck up for Israel. So let's listen, and then we'll break it down.
What the hell has happened to our society? Where is our can-do-it mentality? I want to talk about the greatest generation versus today's young people. Okay? I got to thinking about this over this taco debate on the internet. That's how pathetic things have become.
TACO stands for Trump always chickens out, by the way. That's what he's referring to.
The greatest generation endured the severe economic scarcity of the Great Depression during their youth, followed by massive global combat and home front mobilization during World War II. Over 16 million Americans served in the military, facing intense physical danger, hundreds of thousands of casualties, strict civilian rationing of food, gas, and clothing. We sit here with a war in Iran against an enemy that has killed thousands of Americans, maimed thousands of Americans. I remember a time when
That's such bullshit.
America would say, let's go. Let's destroy that country, destroy that government. You don't get to kill thousands of our fellow citizens, military or civilians. You don't get to try to assassinate our president. You don't get to threaten us with potential nuclear weapons either. Now it's a debate.
Here's the problem for Mark Levin. Any honest analysis of World War II is going to lead to the inevitable conclusion that Hitler was indeed hell-bent on world domination. Okay, that he was actually trying to create the Third Reich. He was obsessed with Aryan superiority. He basically wanted everybody else to be shoved into death camps and mass murdered. And he had taken over the overwhelming majority of Europe. He almost took over all of Europe. And so in that scenario, you look at it, and it actually is like a very clean breakdown where like one side is good and one side is evil, right? Like I think that's the correct analysis. It sounds simplistic and perhaps it sounds hyperbolic, but like our side, us along with the Soviet Union, like we were the good guys and the bad guys were Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan and fascist Italy. And like I don't even think that's controversial to say. It was an existential fight. Like, if we lose that war, you can have fascism take over the globe, right? Now, on the flip side, this illegal war against Iran, it's a country that didn't threaten us. It didn't attack us. It can't really attack us directly here at home. We were the aggressors. And to the extent that there's a fascist side of this war, it's us. It's us. Trump represents fascism now. So you can't make the case to young Americans like, hey, this is an existential fight for our future. Like, you need to fight to try to preserve our way of life. Preserve what? Medical debt? Going to McDonald's and getting a McRib? Like, what are we fighting to protect? I genuinely don't know the answer to that question. What would we be fighting to protect here? This isn't defense. It's not defensive. What we did against Iran is offensive. It's aggressive. It's offensive. It's illegal attacks against innocent people. And people know that. And no amount of gaslighting is going to change that for people. Okay? And that's what Mark Levin needs to understand, which clearly he doesn't. Or he knows, but he's just like lying in the process of making this argument. I also love leaning into like the generational war politics stuff. I love that. Except he's doing, the old generation is superior. And the young generation are stupid. That's a great way to try to get people to go fight and die for Israel for you, Mark, is call them stupid, call them dumb, say they're useless. Shut the fuck up and go to the front line and get lit the fuck up on Karg Island. I mean, that's really what he wants, all right? Just come out and say it.
Should we take him out, shouldn't we? Are you a neocon or a warmonger? Is this a war of choice? We don't even have a draft. Did a draft even work with young people today? I wonder. Could we even fight World War II today? We're whining about $1 of gasoline. Well, it went up 60 cents. What are we going to do? Mildred, what are we going to do? I don't know, Frank. It went up.
Mildred?
But I don't know. Affordability.
Here's what I would say to you, Mark Levin. Take your pudgy belly and your bald head and get your ass over there to Keshem Island. Let me know how that works out for you. Okay? Let me know how that works out for you. You go deploy. If you care, I care so much about the cause. Okay, then you go fight and die for it, right? If I actually cared enough about a cause, if it was like central to who I was, of course I'd put my life on the line. And he seems to care so much about this. Okay, get your fat ass to the front of the line, you dumb bitch. But you're not going to do it. You want some kid from a poor family to go fight and die in your stupid illegal war of aggression.
Over 16 million citizens served through both the draft and voluntary enlistment, leaving their homes, jobs, families for years at a time. One hellhole they went into after another, including members of my family. Troops face brutal conditions across global fronts, resulting in more than 670,000 American casualties and hundreds of thousands of deaths. Families live with constant anxiety, receiving telegrams reporting wounded, missing, or killed loved ones. The vast majority of us are utterly unaffected personally, our families, by what's going on in Iran with our troops.
Well, we won't be soon. We won't be soon. You want to know why? Because your pedophile, rapist, terrorist president has now made it so Iran is tightening the screws, and we're going to have a real oil crisis and an economic crash. So everybody's going to be affected by it soon. By the way, it's not even true. Everybody is affected by it, but yes, they're affected by it in the U.S. by the gas prices and the grocery prices. So people are getting squeezed. But it's going to get a lot worse. It's going to get a lot fucking worse.
The price of gasoline and the price of a taco now, it's just crazy. You know, this has gone on long enough. Are we going to the movies tonight? I don't know. Should we see a play? I don't know. Is football on TV yet? I don't know. But this has gone on way too long. You understand.
So he's like making fun of Americans for wanting to like have affordability, right? For wanting to enjoy their lives and have things be affordable. Don't think this is going to go over too well there, Mark Levin. Again, the fundamental problem with his argument here is the wars are not the same. The war against Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan and Fascist Italy, that was an existential war, and it was defensive by nature. This war we're waging against Iran is an illegal war of aggression. It's a war of choice, and you killed a whole bunch of innocent people. You bomb schools, you bomb hospitals, you bomb bridges, you bomb roads, and we shouldn't have done it, period. End of discussion. We shouldn't have done it. And so he's trying, it's a tortured attempt to try to link, oh, but back then they were willing to fight and now they're not willing to fight. Well, I submit to you, if it was the same group of people, the same facts of today, and you take the people of yesteryear and make them young and put them in today, they also wouldn't want to fight in this war. Who the fuck wants to fight in this war? Look, even after 9/11, there was, an explosion of patriotism and people wanting to defend their country. So you were able to get a lot of people to sign up for Afghanistan and Iraq. Granted, Iraq was based on lies, but people believed that, oh, I'm actually defending my country because we were attacked. You can't make an argument like that today. You can't do it. And then when you have Trump going out there saying we're going to destroy an entire civilization tonight, he's sounding like a comic book villain. Who's looking at that going, oh yeah, I think we're in the right? Who's looking at us bombing the little girls' school and going, oh yeah, that's justifiable? I'm sure, I'm sure we're correct here. No, that's not happening. So, but this is his show, guys. This is his show, day in, day out. His show is whining, crying, bitching, and moaning that young people don't want to go fight and die for Israel. That's his show. And, chastising and berating the American people because they don't like how expensive things have gotten. Are you fucking kidding me? So again, I come back to, how the fuck does this guy have a show? It's not because he's so charismatic. It's not because he's so interesting. It's not because he's so good on the mic. No, it's very clearly because he weaseled his way into Fox News, the organization, and he's there for a reason. What's that reason? I don't know. Is there big money that's being spent to keep his ass on air so that he can be the chief propagandist for Israel? Maybe, but if that's the case, like I said, it's backfiring like a motherfucker. I guarantee you that. It's backfiring because nobody undermines his cause better than Mark Levin. The smug, nasally, shrill, fucking warmonger cunt who has seemingly no political allies except one named Donald J. Trump. It's a shame he has all the fucking power, isn't it?
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about this, but Trump's border wall is apparently a massive clusterfuck that nobody's talking about. So here's the Bulwark. Shout out to the Bulwark and Tim Miller here. They talked to somebody who's going to give us some specifics as to what's going on the ground with Trump's border wall. And some of this stuff is actually astonishing. Listen to this.
According to DHS, of where the wall is going to be, the acreage that will now be on the Mexico side, it looks like they're about to basically put Americans on the other side of 280,000 acres of Texas land. So Americans are going to be fenced out.
We're giving some land to Mexico?
We're giving 280,000 acres of land and the most important water source in West Texas to Mexico. I mean, that is what Donald Trump is doing. If you talk to people down there on the border, that's what they'll tell you.
Territorial concessions to Mexico is happening under the Trump administration?
Yeah, territorial concessions to Mexico. My family has a ranch, hundreds of acres of land in West Texas that's been in the family for 5-6 generations that they just got an eminent domain letter from the federal government so they can come down there and put a wall straight through their land and box them off of acres and acres of their own land, which has the river access, again, the water source in West Texas in the desert that they won't be able to get to if the federal government gets this land. I mean, this is the stuff that's happening.
That is so insane. Imagine being so ideologically committed to the idea of a border wall that you give up 280,000 acres of land to Mexico, the most important water source in West Texas, and you box Americans out of being in their own country with this wall. That's almost too stupid to comprehend. It's very hard to wrap your mind around. But it's Trump, so what do you expect? It is Trump. Okay. Trump has also just given a $1.6 billion no-bid contract. Oh boy. We know what happened the last time with the reflecting pool. He did a no-bid contract. We know what happened that time. That thing fucking fell apart like nobody's business. To Barnard Construction to build a border wall through eastern New Mexico. Barnard Construction chairman coincidentally gave Trump $1 million in 2024. So yet again, corruption, self-dealing, skimming off the top. I'm sure that whoever this contractor is completely and utterly unqualified for this massive job they're about to take up. So prepare yourself, man. Oh, this thing is going to be a mess. This thing is a total clusterfuck. And then also, here, I'll play this one for you as well from NBC News.
It's sunrise on the Rio Grande, and Charlie Angel wonders how many more he'll get to watch here. For more than a decade, he's made the river his life and his livelihood, running canoe tours from his home just off the banks.
And here we are on the banks of the mighty, muddy Rio Grande.
He showed us exactly where that dream might end.
I always knew that if they were going to build a border wall, it would be right here upending my life.
For weeks, letters from Customs and Border Protection have filled his mailbox, confirming those fears, carrying threats of eminent domain.
This describes what the wall will be, where you can see it's called Border Barrier System. It's going to have 30-foot high barrier made of 6-inch square diameter steel bollards, spaced approximately 4 inches apart, access roads, drainage gates.
All of this would essentially take over your entire property.
Yes, absolutely. If they build this wall like they're saying they're going to, you might as well kiss the Rio Grande goodbye because you won't have access to it anymore, and it's going to ruin it environmentally.
This stretch of the border is rugged country, as beautiful as it is deadly. It's why, as the first Trump administration built more than 450 miles of new border wall, working to fulfill one of the president's signature promises, Republicans and Democrats alike around here thought it was unthinkable the blueprints would include them, until now. DHS is planning more than 120 miles of new wall through the Big Bend, igniting bipartisan pushback, crossing what has long been a red line in some deep red parts of the country.
You can't make a better wall than that right there.
Presidio County Judge Jose Portillo, a Democrat and a retired state police officer, showed us why this region sees the fewest illegal crossings of any stretch of the southern border, even during the migrant surge under President Biden. After all, that wall was built.
Even if they successfully make it this far, they show up with their hands up in the air and they give up. And what they want is food and water.
Border Patrol touted a 74% decline in apprehensions here, from almost 12,000 in fiscal year 2023 to just over 3,000 last year, or under 9 people per day across 517 miles of border. Still, DHS has awarded more than $1 billion in construction contracts for the Big Bend sector so far.
There we go.
Just upriver from Charlie, Esteban Mesa shows us the property his family has held for generations, and the crucial source of water set to be walled off.
So you see, this is where I lift my water.
And if a wall was between your property and the river where you get your water, what would you do?
I don't know. Nothing.
Presidio County Sheriff Danny Dominguez took us to the border he patrols every day.
We don't need a physical order.
Last week, he joined the region's 4 other sheriffs, representing 4 deep red counties, signing a letter condemning the plans for a wall. They're pushing for a solution built on surveillance, not steel. Would a wall make people safer here?
No, I don't think so.
A CBP spokesperson tells us the agency continues to develop and finalize its plans for a wall, focusing on the top operational priorities with historical rates of high illegal entry. As this region braces for construction, law enforcement sees little to gain. The Texans on the Rio Grande see everything to lose. Fighting for your life's dream here.
I'm fighting for my life. I'm fighting for my livelihood, for my career, for my sanity, for my peace of mind. And I'm fighting for the Rio Grande.
Trump seems to believe in nothing accept the border wall ideologically. Well, that's not true. He believes he's an ideological sadist, right? Like, he's backing Max Miller after he was accused of all sorts of domestic abuse, hurting his daughter, hurting his wife, shoving a woman down the stairs. And Trump is still backing him because he's like ideologically pro-criminal and pro-rapist and pro-border wall is the other thing. Like, he actually has a commitment to it. And again, it's to the point where the specifics are irrelevant to him. If you explain to them, like, hey, there's a natural barrier here anyway, so, even if you're a hard-line guy on the border, you still, like, the barrier is there. Like, there's already one there. It's like, don't care. Want to do another one. I had watched a segment on this years ago. I think I covered it years ago. There was also, like, a particular community where it's very bizarre, like, the layout, and like a certain part is the US and a certain part is Mexico, and it like sort of meshes in a little bit together, and there's like a golf course there, and with their plans you'd have the border wall like going directly through a US town, and it would like cut the US off from the US, but also it would like cut the golf course in half, and like there's so many things, like basic logistical issues here, not even ideological, but like logistical issues. And of course the Trump people are just committed to the dumbest possible way of doing it, because that's what they're just dumb, they're incompetent, they're stupid. And so, like, take a bad idea in the first place and then execute it as horribly as humanly possible. And that's what you get. And that's why you even have like right-wing sheriffs who are, nobody's lefties or liberals or even pro-immigrant, and they're like, yeah, this is kind of dumb, let's not do that. And it looks like they're going to do it. It looks like they're going to do it. So here we go. I mean, how many things can he ruin? At this point, it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep track with how many things he's ruining. But to reiterate, because I felt like this was just astonishing, the U.S. is apparently, under Trump's plan, giving 280,000 acres of land to Mexico, including the most important water source in West Texas. And they're cutting Americans off from their own country with where the border wall is running through. There you go. Doing things the Trump way, which is the way that led him to bankrupt 6 different businesses, including casinos where they literally come and give you money for nothing. There you have it. That's the show. I love y'all very much. As always, you guys know the drill. Everybody do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon. Support the show on Patreon. That link is below. You can also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below as well. And go sub to Corin's World. Remember, y'all, come watch Crystal Kyle and Friends this week. Sign up below because we have Oliver Larkin coming on. You do not want to miss it. I'm really looking forward to that. All right, I love you guys, and I'll see you there. Peace out.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You want to.
What's up, y'all? Happy Friday. Hope everybody out there is having a great day. I just spilled some soda on my wife's favorite shorts that I have, so that's a damn shame. But anyway, a lot of stuff to get to today. Before I jump into it, let me just tell you real quick. Everybody sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below because we have Oliver Larkin coming on tonight, y'all. You do not want to miss this. Oliver Larkin, the Democrat who's running for the U.S. House in Florida's 25th district against one of the single worst diet MAGA Democrats that's out there, Jared Moskowitz. He literally self-describes as a Ron DeSantis Democrat. So this guy's an absolute mess. So definitely check it out. He's awesome. He called Trump a pedophile on Fox News, and the host panicked and ended the segment early. Incredible stuff. So you don't want to miss it. Sign up below on Substack to see the full Crystal Kyle and Friends episode, which drops tonight with Oliver Larkin. Don't forget, y'all, you could also just wait until tomorrow and get the free version of Crystal Kyle and Friends. The audio podcast version is free for everybody. But if you sign up and pay, what is it, $5 a month or $10 a month? I don't even know how much it fucking costs for our own Crystal Kyle and Friends thing. I think it's $10 a month. You sign up, you pay $10 a month, and you get the video of every Crystal Kyle and Friends episode, and you get it a day early. So people who are members on Substack will get the video tonight, and everybody else tomorrow, you can get the full audio podcast. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in. I got a lot of stuff to get to today. So right off the bat here, Trump is doing an event. He's giving a speech. I mean, the fact that he's still doing rally speeches is very disturbing to me because, like, this is your second term, okay? You're supposed to be focused on governing and delivering for the American people, not doing like, you know, what's viewed as like the grunt work to rally the support to get in power in the first place, which then allows you to govern. It's like he doesn't care about the governing and what to do to fix the country. He just cares about the adulation and the crowd support. He wants people to like, you know, view him as like a legend. So anyway, he's out there, he's given a rally speech. And of course, in classic Trump fashion, we got a number of incredibly disturbing moments here. So one of them, he says that after Iran is defeated, he's going to declare the Strait of Hormuz a territory of the United States of America. I mean, to say that this guy is deranged and unfit for the office is the understatement of the millennium. Because that is like, if any other president said such a bizarre thing, we would immediately have them checked for their sanity, but then also impeach them or 25th Amendment them and remove their ass from power. But he says it like he's not losing the war. He says it like Iran doesn't have control of the strait right the fuck now. He says it like we haven't run out of missiles and are down 80% of our interceptors. So that's fucking weird. That's bizarre. He's out there saying it. I mean, it's total like theater and show. Like he knows that the U.S. is not going to control the Strait of Hormuz or have it be part of the U.S., but he does it as part of like, you know, the theatrics of it all and the show of it all. I mean, he's a guy who comes from reality TV. He comes from The Apprentice. So he just wants to like make his idiot SEAL audience clap like a bunch of morons. All right. So we also have this though. By the way, Democrats, hope you're paying attention. Y'all want to clip this segment out and run it in commercials all across this country. I'm just going to tell you right now. But Trump also said, quote, "For you to pay a tiny little bit more for gasoline, $4, it's okay. I'll never apologize." Dog, this is right up there with when he said, "I don't think about Americans' financial situation at all." This is right up there with the time he said, "We can't afford daycare, we can't afford Medicaid or Medicare because we got a war to fight." An illegal war that he started, but he says we got a war to fight, so we can't afford that stuff. Like, you're just asking for people to despise you at this point. I mean, I think it truly is the case that the cognitive decline has now made it so he says the quiet part out loud way more often. Like, I always said he was a low filter guy, but now he's a no filter guy, so you get moments like this. I'm going to quote it one more time for you. Ready? Quote, "For you to pay a tiny little bit more for gasoline, $4, it's okay. I'll never apologize." Yeah, here's the problem, you dipshit. Not everybody has as much money as God like you do, and people can't afford their fucking gas and they can't afford their groceries and they're struggling to get by. But completely unaware or doesn't care about that and just absolutely shooting himself in his little tiny mushroom pecker. All right, more. So NBC News is reporting that the Kennedy Center board voted to partially close the Art Center during renovations, but they also voted to add Trump's name to the building again. Okay, so you all know the backstory there. He forced his name on the building. It was totally illegal. The court said you got to drop that bitch off. So they took down his name from the Trump Kennedy Center and made it back to just the Kennedy Center. Then Trump crashed out and ordered it all be covered to basically say like, hey, if my name can't be on that bitch, neither can John F. Kennedy's name. His name can't be on that bitch either. So he put a tarp up to block the name for everybody. So there's no name up there at all. Okay. Well, now the Kennedy Center board just voted to put his name back on. Here's the problem with that, though. I don't know if that's enough to actually get his name on there. I think it would have to be Congress that votes to get his name on there. So this also might be totally null and void. It'll probably go right back through the court system, and the court will probably say the same shit again. But this shows you how fucking petty this man is. He's so petty, he's so vindictive, he's so obsessed with his little vanity projects that he will stop at nothing to get his name on that motherfucking building. He won't stop at nothing to lower your gas prices. He won't stop at nothing to lower your grocery prices. He won't stop at nothing to make sure you get health care. He doesn't give a fuck about that. In fact, he kicked 18 million people off health care. But he will stop at nothing to make sure his name goes on that shitty fucking building. What a sick joke, bro. What a sick fucking joke. Okay. Now prepare yourself for this next one because this is one of the big ones that I couldn't wait to talk about. Okay, so the Salt Lake City Tribune has an article on this. Then we also have somebody on Twitter named the Leah Files who has a Substack who also talked about this. But it turns out that The U.S. government under Trump, the Trump regime, just gave a charity that is currently being sued for sex trafficking a $244 million no-bid contract. And they say, well, the reason we're giving this contract is so that this group can provide lawyers to migrant kids. But here's the problem with that. This fact came out on a Friday night with no announcement whatsoever. They were trying to bury it, okay? And it turns out that the group, it's called Sound of Freedom. It's a charity. I believe it was formerly known as Operation Underground Railroad. They have 0 immigration lawyers who work for them. So the Trump regime giving a group that's being sued for sex trafficking $244 million nominally to provide lawyers for immigrant kids. Well, it turns out they don't have any lawyers for immigrant kids. They've also had 0 federal contracts ever, and their lifetime federal history is only one transaction, this one. So the group was just started not that long ago, right? The only thing that's happened is they're now being sued for sex trafficking, and they just get $244 million like this. See, this is why I told you guys, we should have never stopped pushing on the Epstein files, because they've only released about half the Epstein files. At first, they only released like 2%. And in that 2%, Trump's name was listed 38,000 times. Then they released 50% of the Epstein files. It's the definition of what's called a limited hangout, which is a strategy to get you to stop asking questions. And in the 50%, Trump's name was mentioned 1 million times. This is why I keep telling you, we know there were about 10 Epstein co-conspirators. I think Donald Trump is one of Epstein's co-conspirators. I also think the Epstein network is still working today. It's still functioning today. I know that sounds crazy, but there's some reason to believe that. There's some evidence that points in that direction. And also, when you see shit like this, obviously your takeaway should be, man, there's some underground stuff that is thriving that would absolutely sicken your average American. And clearly, the federal government is directly in on this shit, okay? Now, by the way, the immigrants' real lawyers, so the kid immigrants who were supposed to get lawyers under this program, okay, they're real lawyers. Well, the government still owes them $65 million and refused to pay them unless they handed over the kids' confidential files. And they refused, and their contract was cut. So when the government actually had the lawyers to pay the $65 million to that they owed them, they cut them off. Then they hire this new group, which, as I said, is being sued for sex trafficking, and they give them $244 million, even though there are no immigration lawyers that work for them. It's absolutely insane. And so when you trace the money, as the Leah files did, you can check out the Substack if you want to see the full thing here. But when you trace the money, there's like a Dubai shell company that's involved, and the founder's family is on the payroll, and there are contractors who are listed as anonymous, and there's a DC company that was registered about a year before the contract with the CEO named as the beneficial owner. So what it looks like, if you're paying close attention, what it looks like is this is all on purpose, bro. There's no accident here. There's no mistake here. It's like the U.S. government is involved in child sex trafficking, and it is very likely with migrant kids who were kidnapped from their parents. This is what's happening. The Epstein network is likely still in effect. Donald Trump is likely one of Epstein's co-conspirators, and now Donald Trump's government is handing out massive no-bid contracts to the tune of $244 million for child sex trafficking. Insane. Absolutely insane, ludicrous. You're not going to see this on CNN. You're not going to see this on MS Now. You're for shit sure not going to see this on Fox News. No shot. Literally none. But you hear about it here. Just crazy stuff, bro. All right. Let me give you some more. So this is a big deal, and this is making the rounds on social media, but there's new FBI documents that were just released because of a FOIA, which is a Freedom of Information Act request, which is like the government is required to release, documents after a certain time frame if the public inquires about them. So there were new FBI documents released via FOIA that show that the Department of Justice had a document flag list when it began to review the Epstein files last year. And there are 16 entries that are simply marked POTUS. So, in other words, you have 16 entries on the list where the reason for the flag was simply the president, okay? And those items include magazines, newspaper articles, message pads, phone message books, and one unidentified record. So they're going through the Epstein files line for line, specifically finding the stuff involving Trump and redacting it because it's about Trump. As I told you, it is very likely he is one of Epstein's co-conspirators, and that's the shit that they're trying to hide. Okay? That's what they're trying to hide. Remember the whole fiasco when they first released 2% of the Epstein files and they accidentally released a picture of Epstein's house where he had a whole drawer that was dedicated to Trump and Trump's family? Like, you saw the drawer was open, and you saw there was a picture of Trump, picture of Melania, some like financial documents and things of that nature. And we also know that Epstein knew all the ins and outs of the financial situation for Mar-a-Lago, up and including, Trump doing mortgage fraud for Mar-a-Lago. So we had this whole fucking drawer. That picture was released. The next day, the picture was pulled down. Why? Because Trump lit into Kash Patel and whoever else was involved in the cover-up. And he was like, hey, you fucking idiots, Pam Bondi, pull down that picture that proves that Epstein has a Donald J. Trump drawer with all my information in it. Okay? He was one, I'm telling you, he was one of the co-conspirators. And now we have even more evidence with these new FBI documents that show that the Department of Justice was specifically redacting because certain parts were about POTUS. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Okay. News Nation is also reporting today that Hugh Hefner notified the FBI that a Playboy playmate was sexually abused and trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein and others in his orbit. So they say, quote, court records state Hefner was told by then Playboy playmate Audra Christensen in 2005 that she was an Epstein survivor and requested the Playboy founder call the FBI, arguing he would have more status than her with the authorities. Hefner allegedly called the FBI several times with the tip, who didn't investigate the claim for 15 years, according to court documents. So Hugh Hefner, the famous head of Playboy, like ultra famous, he was like an A-list celebrity when he was alive. He calls the FBI multiple times to say, I know of sex trafficking involving playmates, and they tell me all the specifics. The FBI didn't touch it for 15 years. Ladies and gentlemen, why did they not touch it for 15 years? I'm going to repeat this again. Because they knew about it. And they were protecting Epstein. And why were they protecting Epstein? Because Epstein is an intelligence asset. Epstein is running a honeypot blackmail operation. And he's getting dirt on all these rich, famous, powerful celebrities, business people, politicians, etc. And by the way, there's evidence he had ties to Mossad, that's Israeli intelligence. There's evidence he had ties to formerly KGB, but Russian intelligence now. Okay? He also allegedly had ties to the CIA as well. And so here you have a guy running a blackmail network. They know of all these sex trafficking crimes. The FBI does nothing on purpose. Why? Because they're protecting him. Because he's running this operation and they're getting dirt for it. Okay? Insane. Insane shit, man. And then they got shit they hold over people's heads to get whatever kind of concessions and extractions they want. You sit back and you look at Trump and you go, gee, I wonder why he's literally never told Israel no ever in his entire time in office. I mean, we're talking about him giving away the Golan Heights to Israel, even though that's Syrian territory, something he has no right to do. Why? Because of all of the Israel lobby money he gets paid, but also because if he doesn't do what they say, they could always say, hey, man, we're going to drop those Katie Johnson allegations. We got pictures, we got videos, we got proof that you did that shit. And Trump goes, sir, yes, sir, never mind. I'll do whatever you want. What do you want, war with Iran? Coming right up, sir. So this is what we're looking at. This is how corrupt and broken and decrepit and disgusting the system is. We have a blackmailed pedophile who's president of the United States of America. And the more we're getting a drip, drip, drip of information that is further validating that. And a drip, drip, drip of information further confirming that Jeffrey Epstein was running a blackmail honeypot operation and he had dirt on so many rich and famous and powerful people that's held over their head so the deep state can get what they want. Insane. Absolutely insane. Okay, here we go. Let me give you some more. So this is a big deal, but I'm sure you guys have been seeing all the talk about flock cameras. And apparently, if you go back to the first day of 2024, there were about 440 flock cameras in the United States. Okay. Now, as of today, in 2026, that number has ballooned to 129,000 flock cameras. So they're putting these bitches up incredibly fast. You know, a bunch of people pointed out, if you want to build some like new housing for people, there's roughly 700 different regulations that you have to abide by, and hoops you have to jump through, and red tape you have to cut, and you got all these problems, right? There's all these hurdles in your way. But if you want to put up, a mass spying blackmail apparatus system, that apparently you could do easily, simply, without too many hurdles in your way. So it was 440 cameras in the wee old times of 2024, and now it's 129,000 cameras. And by the way, there's been horror stories of what these things have been used for. You have cops abusing their power, spying on loved ones. You have all sorts of creepy shit where people at Flock are like spying on little girls at their, gymnastics practice and shit like that. The more information we get, the more we realize, guys, there's no positive use for these cameras. None. The idea that, it's being used for just to stop crime and stop criminals. That's bullshit, because there's a lot of false positives where they say, this person committed this crime. Turns out they didn't. This person stole this car. Turns out they didn't. This person ran a red light. Turns out they didn't. So the cameras are fucking wrong about so much shit, but also they're being used to mass surveil innocent people from a bunch of creepers who have too much power. So these things got to come the fuck down, bro. I'm sorry. These things, every single flock camera in this country should be torn down. And by the way, this is not even a left-right thing. I'm saying this shit as an ardent left-winger, but there's ardent right-wingers who would listen to me and go, you know what? I agree on that one, son. I agree. And they're right. This is one where we can come together, and it's not even like hyper-politicized in that way. So they got to come down. By the way, federal agents apparently sent an undercover informant to a Sunrise Movement meeting. Okay, that's the left-wing group, the Sunrise Movement, trying to fight back against climate change. They obtained years of financial records for labor unions, and they spied on churches during and after Operation Metro Surge in Minneapolis. Okay, so you have the Trump regime, the authoritarian, tyrannical Trump regime, infiltrating all these different left-wing spaces. And why are they doing that? Because as you all know, under NSPM 7, they say all dissent is illegal. All dissent is terrorist activity. If you stand up against MAGA, if you're organized, if you're part of a group, that's illegal. Now we got our eyes on you. Now we're going to take away your rights. Now we're going to shake you down. We're going to audit you. We're going to, and this is what they do. They throw the book at anybody and everybody who's a vocal opponent. And so now that's also what's going on. So put the two things together, right? You got the flock cameras going up all over the place, and you also have a resurgence of political persecution. Right? That's a horrible mix, bro. That's a horrible mix. We are marching right towards a totalitarian police state led by a bunch of fascist MAGA hacks. And that's what's happening. It's so disturbing. It's so incredibly disturbing. Okay. Earlier today, this is some big news that dropped, bro. Everybody's going to be talking about this one, but Luigi Mangione pled guilty to federal stalking charges in the killing of the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. Mangione said that in court, quote, "I shot Mr. Thompson and he died." Now, he also, I believe they filed to have the state level charges dropped after he is apparently pleading guilty to some of these federal charges. I have to say, man, I'm very surprised by this because I honestly believe that the prosecution would have had a hard time finding 12 jurors to convict him. I really do believe that. And I believe that not because I don't necessarily think he did it. I believe that because I think that if you make the proper defense and, you appeal to the humanity of the people on the jury and you let them know, like, hey, here's why he did it. In fact, I believe he released a statement today that included, had excruciating back pain, was getting no help. It was impossible to get through the web they wanted me to get through. Healthcare and health insurance in this country is made specifically to deny you care so that they make a profit. If you make this total case to a jury, I think a lot of people are going to be fucking sympathetic, and you're definitely going to find at least one or two or maybe three who are like, yeah, I'm just not going to convict him, even if I think he did it, because it really, it's a message that was sent to the robber barons and to the capital class that, listen, man, there's only so much you can get away with. I think people will put up with a certain amount of expected corruption. People will put up with a certain amount of, some skimming off the top type shit. But once you have a whole system that's dedicated towards absolutely destroying innocent people, and you have a system that's geared towards profit and doesn't care at all about how regular people are doing, I think then people feel like they want to burn that whole bitch down. And so I think they would have had a hard time convicting him, but apparently, I guess his lawyers felt differently, and they advised him to just, come out and plead guilty, and then you won't get the death penalty or whatever. But this was huge news that came out today, man. It really was. Luigi Mangione pleading guilty to federal stalking charges in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Quote, "I shot Mr. Thompson and he died," is what Luigi said. Wild stuff, man. So highly recommend you go read, everything that they released, because it's more than just that, but that's the gist of what happened. And we'll see now what happens with those state level charges. And sentencing, I believe they said, is in December. So we'll see what kind of a sentence he gets. Really wild stuff, bro. And the whole country is interested in this case. All right. We also have this. Minnesota Senate nominee Michelle Tafoya said the following on the Iran war. You ready for this? This is the Minnesota Senate nominee, the Republican. Quote, "Maybe you take one less trip to Starbucks, and so that gas goes a little further. Until this thing is over and these gas prices come back down again, let's just try to be patriots about this." Are you fucking kidding me? So as Crystal said in response to this, good luck in your race there, fella. Good luck in your race. She, of course, is up against Peggy Flanagan, the Bernie-endorsed candidate who wants to abolish ICE and deliver Medicare for all. And she won a massive victory against Angie Craig, the more centrist Democrat, in the primary. But now, this is your reaction to the Iran war. Basically, shut the fuck up, deal with it, and maybe don't go as many places, because we got to try to be patriots about this illegal war of aggression that we're waging against an innocent country where we carpet bomb their little girls' schools. Yeah, good luck is right. I mean, no shot, son. Absolutely, positively, no shot skis. No shot. But hey, this is the Republican Party, bro. Like, this is who they are. By the way, this is the woman who did she beat in her primary, her Republican primary? Mike Lindell. That psycho who's still bitching about the 2020 election and pretending like that was a stolen election and that Biden didn't win. That guy got his cheeks clapped, even though Donald J. Trump was riding hard for him and like posting for him and everything. But anyway, good luck. I really don't think it's going to go well for her. I think Flanagan is going to easily win that race. Okay, let me give you some more. Kristi Noem and Markwayne Mullin are apparently both blaming each other because ICE bought 10 planes that were supposed to be to deport immigrants. But guess what? They had no crew to fly any of those planes. Okay, the planes have been sitting idle. And there's 3 luxury jets that they got that they were using to ferry around top officials like Kash Patel. But $464 million for planes, not even fucking using them bitches. Okay? Again, the leadership is using the luxury planes, which people are also pissed off about, because it's like, why are you idiots? Why is Kash Patel flying around on a plane to listen to his shitty girlfriend sing at some dumb NRA event? Like, what a waste of taxpayer money that is. So that's bad enough, right? But 10 planes, no crews, and they were nominally to deport immigrants. It was just a total waste of $500 million. So this goes to show you they spare no expense when it comes to themselves and when it comes to implementing their fascist agenda. But the second it fucking comes to you, are you kidding me? We're going to talk about this with Oliver Larkin, but guys, did you know they just cut a program that it was money that specifically went to people with dementia and Down syndrome and sorts of like seriously debilitating problems like that. They just gutted a program that goes to those people, but they have $500 million for 10 planes they don't fucking need to sit there idly with no crews. And they got all the money in the world for Kash Patel to run around like the dipshit that he is. It's just ridiculous, man. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Okay. We also have this story, and this is like classic Trump. It makes you want to bang your head against a concrete wall when you hear this. But Trump apparently came out behind the scenes and told the military, he directed the Navy to tear out this complex system that's used for launching fighter jets from their aircraft carriers. And he wants them to go back to using steam catapults, okay? And this is a move that Navy officials have apparently fought for years, and it's going to cost billions of dollars extra in order to get this done. So it's like a worse system, and it costs way more. And Trump, for whatever reason, is like, you got to go back to the steam, got to go back to the steam. Now, by the way, my guess is we're going to learn in due time. He's invested in companies that, make the technology that they're going back to. That's my guess. is that we're going to learn that him and his whole family are about to make like, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars off these contracts that, he's getting a little taste of. That's my guess. Like with everything with Trump, it all comes down to the corruption. It all comes back to the self-dealing, okay? So incredible stuff here that he's demanding that. Well, guess what? You had Senator Mark Kelly came out, right? And remember, he was an astronaut, and he's got like a technical background in some of these things, right? So he says the following, quote, "I've launched off the front of aircraft carriers hundreds of times. I have a master's degree in aeronautical engineering and am a test pilot, and even I wouldn't suggest to the Navy how to engineer specific systems on its ships. Donald Trump should stick to what he knows best, ballrooms, bankruptcy, and bullshit." So here's a guy who's kind of like an expert in this shit, and he's like, this is dumb, this is stupid, and he has no business doing it. Well, like I said, we're almost certainly going to find out this is tied to him making money. But he's just like ordering this massive change. And Ron Filipkowski pointed out, look at the reflecting pool, bro. Look at the reflecting pool. The reflecting pool, he handed the contract to some like mafia goon asshole. That guy fucked it up to the high heavens and robbed the money, and I'm sure gave Trump his cut, gave Trump a taste of his no-bid contract, right? And now look at it. It's fucking destroyed. It's absolutely destroyed. And so now Trump's going to do this with aircraft carriers, probably making it so that as much as we're not combat ready now when we're being defeated by Iran, you just wait. When Trump is done with this country, we are not going to be able to win a war against fucking Burundi, okay? The Bahamas will be able to destroy us casually in a war. We would get our cheeks clapped by fucking Madagascar by the time Trump is done. I'm not even kidding about any of this, okay? Like, and this is why I always say, like, he either is a Manchurian candidate or he's not a Manchurian candidate, but he's so stupid that just his incompetence ends up with him making the same decisions a Manchurian candidate would make anyway. So it's either you're like the dumbest person in the world and you that's how you make these dumb decisions, or like you're actually trying to tank the country. But I don't see any other options, bro. I really don't. Okay. So listen to this. This is crazy. A new Washington Post story dropped. The Trump administration is planning to spend at least $900 million for construction projects on the White House grounds. That is significantly larger. That's a much higher amount of money. The price tag is just gargantuan compared to what they pretended it was going to be. They said it was going to be way lower than that. Now we're at $900 million, and all of this would be covered by taxpayers. And I should also point out, of course, none of this has been approved. None of this has gone through Congress. None of this has been approved. Whatever zoning process you have to go through. He's just like, fuck it, dude, go ahead, make the Epstein Memorial Ballroom, knock down the east wing of the White House, right? Put like an advanced drone system on top of the shit. Put a helipad in that bitch. It's insane. He just makes all these decisions and people start doing shit. And then it's only later on that the system catches up to be like, hey, you can't do that. And then Trump will just keep doing it or find a different way to do it. I mean, it's insane what we're looking at here. But $900 million. So remember, as over 4 million people got kicked off their food stamps, okay, as 18 million people lost their Medicaid, as up to 742 hospitals in this country are going to close directly because of Trump's policies. He's also saying, gimme nearly $1 billion DZACs to build his fucking Epstein Memorial Ballroom and all his little pet projects around the White House. And that's not even to mention the Arc de Trump, which he wants to build. And that's not even to mention forcing his name on the Kennedy Center like we talked about before. That's not even to mention he wants his face on fucking Mount Rushmore. He put his face on passports. He put his signature on currency. Like, this man is stopping at nothing to force himself down our throats. I mean, this guy is like metaphorically raping this country to death. And in some ways, like directly raping this country to death, if we're being serious, because he's profiteering off of everything. But this is just ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. Okay. How about this one? More Perfect Union says the following. And by the way, think about this in the context of what I just told you. I just told you $900 million for his shitty construction projects by the White House. Ready? More Perfect Union says, an overwhelming 92% of Americans have either delayed or totally abandoned medical care because of how expensive it is, according to a new survey. 92% of this country is going, I can't go to the doctor. I don't have the money. Okay, I can't go to the doctor. It's a pain in the ass, and I'm not financially stable enough to go through that right now. Putting off needed medical care. 92%, 9 out of 10 Americans go, I'm going to hold off on that one a little bit. While Trump's going, give me $1 billion to make the Epstein Memorial Ballroom. let's put my face on currency. Let's put it on a coin. Let's put my name on the Kennedy Center. I mean, it's just incredible, man. It's absolutely absurd. Okay. Now, the Washington Post had a big article that dropped the other day, and not enough people are talking about this one, man. But you guys know how I've been telling you about the massive drone strikes that have happened again in the Caribbean and in the Pacific, and over 180 fishermen have been killed. And this is all totally illegal. You know, if you really thought these people were drug trafficking, all you have to do is seize the boats, you know, take whatever the narcotics are and give people their day in court and everything would be fine. But no, they're literally just like, it's a policy of mass murder. It's a policy of terrorism. And a lot of these people are totally innocent and they're not involved in drug trafficking, which, by the way, even if they were involved in drug trafficking, you don't mass murder them. That's not a thing. Okay. Well, anyway, the Washington Post has apparently solved a months-long mystery of 3 attacks on fishing boats near the Galapagos Islands. Okay. Apparently, ready for this? They're part of a covert CIA program with a spy plane with its ownership hidden behind an LLC. And the details of this thing are crazy. So you have a covert CIA program. They're also potentially working with mercenaries, like murderous mercenaries. Okay. And so the CIA and their mercenaries were murdering Ecuadorian fishermen, but then they were attempting to cover it up. Okay. They would murder these fishermen and then they were attempting to cover it up. The prosecutor who was investigating these murders of the fishermen was killed, was randomly murdered. Insane. Like, we talked about that not that long ago. Insane. Like, you have the most obvious crimes of all time being committed by the CIA, murder of innocent people on the high seas. The prosecutor who's looking into it gets killed, okay? One of the boats is still missing to this day, and survivors of the other 2 strikes say that they were tortured before they were dumped in El Salvador, and all 3 crafts were licensed commercial vessels cleared by the Ecuadorian authorities, and there was no indication they were engaged in drug trafficking. So this is like horror movie type shit we're talking about here. We're talking about murder of innocent fishermen done by the CIA and mercenaries. Then we're talking about a massive cover-up. Then we're talking about killing the people investigating it who are trying to get answers and trying to hold the criminals accountable. And this is something, again, you're not even going to hear about it anywhere else, right? I know Breaking Point's covered it. Washington Post had an article about it. We're talking about it here. But, nobody's really talking about it. Not enough people are talking about this. This should be on CNN. This should be on MS Now. This should be on fucking Fox News and the nightly news, but they'll never do it. Because, of course, this is a massive indictment on the CIA of the Trump regime. And it should just add it to the horrors. Add it to the list of horrors. Shit that, is straight up comic book villain type shit is what they're doing now, man. There's no other way to describe it. There's just no other way to describe it. God, it's so disturbing. Okay. We also have this. This is one that is sort of blowing up at the moment. Apparently, the Treasury Department announced this week that it would destroy the government's registry of shell company ownership. So it is mandated by law that you need to know who owns shell companies, right? Well, they're destroying the government's registry of shell company ownership. And this is something that the Treasury is required to maintain this database by law, but they don't care. They're destroying it anyway. Even worse, the Trump administration will also destroy all the data it has already collected so that no future presidential administration or local police department can use it. So they're no longer requiring shell company owners to, list what they own, right? You don't need to know who actually owns the shell companies anymore. But also they're getting rid of the backlog and all the paperwork for all the stuff we did know. So they're literally, this is, as somebody pointed out, they said, quote, "It's like Trump ordering the deletion of the FBI's entire fingerprint database. They're effectively salting the earth so that sex traffickers, scam artists, drug lords, money launderers, and tax cheats can roam free, not only through the end of Trump's time in office, but long after he's out." So any sort of evidence that would have been there for future prosecutions of corrupt criminals, they're destroying it. They're destroying it. To say that this is the most corrupt regime in U.S. history really is the understatement of the century. That doesn't do it justice. This guy is more corrupt than every other corrupt U.S. president combined times 1,000. I mean, the creativity in their corrupt schemes is just absolutely positively off the charts. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, this is one of those things where it's like added to the list of the most egregious crimes of the Trump regime. And I hope that Jack Smith is paying attention. I hope lawyers and prosecutors are paying attention, because there's going to come a time where, the bill comes due for them and there's going to be consequences. And when that day comes, this should be at the top of the list, because holy fucking shit. You want to talk about class solidarity. This is more than just class solidarity. It is criminal solidarity, what they're doing here. There's no other way. There's no sane, logical, rational way to explain this away. Like, there's no like, oh yeah, they're doing this thing, but it's okay because this is what they mean to do. No, like, everybody knows this is to protect the corrupt assholes who have shell companies. Everybody knows that. It's literally to go to bat for sex traffickers, scam artists, drug lords, money launderers, tax cheats. That's what they're doing here. Okay. Now, speaking of, Trump pocketed $2.2 billion in 2025 alone, while American families, we just learned, lost $219 billion to rising costs, according to a new report that just came out. He made $2.2 billion, while Americans lost $219 billion to rising costs that are a direct result of his illegal war against Iran. Okay, we also have this. Trump is now citing his catering truck escape from Air Force One. Remember this? They were afraid that Iran's going to kill him, and so, you got to put him in this third plane so he doesn't get killed. But he let, a lot of reporters go on the plane that they thought was going to be attacked, letting them die. Like, they wouldn't care if the reporters died. Also, I think Marco Rubio was on that plane. Caroline Leavitt was on that plane. So Trump literally sentenced some of his people to death as he escaped to a different plane. Well, anyway, he escaped in a catering truck, and now Trump is citing that as part of his Supreme Court fight to save his Epstein Memorial Ballroom. Because you know how my safety is so threatened. That's why we need the ballroom. The ballroom will keep us safe. That's why we need the ballroom. So now he's saying, oh, look, there was another threat on my life, and I escaped in a catering truck. So that's why we need the ballroom. I mean, I literally can't, bro. I'm so done. I'm so fucking done. I can't. Like, how? How is this a thing? He's the most shameless motherfucker on planet Earth. So embarrassing. So embarrassing. Okay. And we're going to talk more about Caroline Leavitt in a second, by the way, because there's a lot to say there, too. Apparently, the federal government just took in $334 billion, but spent $766 billion. That's a $432 billion deficit in just 1 month. Okay? So this is, that might be, somebody should fact check this. That might be one of the largest deficits, if not the single largest monthly deficit of all time in U.S. history. They are, to say this is fiscally irresponsible is a massive understatement, because the fact of the matter is we can't afford to do this anymore, especially because the world is slowly turning away from the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency. So we really can't afford to do this anymore. This is something that, this bill will come due. And, we are dumping this debt on the next generation. And the dollar is going to become worth less and less and less. Inflation could potentially become hyperinflation if enough countries move away from the dollar, and if the dollar is dropped as the world reserve currency. So Trump is really, what he's doing to this country is what he did to his fucking casinos, right? He bankrupted his casinos. He went bankrupt 6 times. He had 6 business bankruptcies. And by the way, he would still brag like his businesses were doing great literally a day before filing for bankruptcy. He's doing that to the country now and not caring about the consequences. It is incredibly, incredibly disturbing. Okay. Well, guess what? The CIA came out, and they're now blaming Israel for the allegation that Trump was going to be attacked by Iran on his way back from Turkey. When he went to that other plane and left other people for dead. Apparently, the CIA is saying Israel told Trump that his life was threatened. It didn't come from the CIA. It didn't come from our own intelligence agencies. Israel said that. And as I told you guys, I don't know, bro. Is it possible that Iran could do that? Yeah. Their own leader was killed by Trump, so I could see them saying, hey, man, turnabout's fair play, an eye for an eye. You killed our leader, well, we might kill your leader. So that's possible. But what else did I tell you? Trump ordered his people, if I get killed by Iran, fucking obliterate them, light up the whole country. Well, that's exactly what Israel wants. So Israel would be put in a position now where, hey, if Israel kills Trump, well, then they feel like they'll get their way because, then the order might come down to like light the fuck up Iran. And so they have their incentive there as well. So to hear now that Israel was behind the alleged threat, like they told Trump, oh yeah, Iran's about to kill you. It is fishy as shit, man. That is fishy as shit. All right. Now, remember I mentioned we were going to come back to Caroline Leavitt? Okay, well, here we go. Caroline Leavitt announced her resignation, and she did so about 24 hours after she found out that Trump left her for dead on a plane that he thought could be shot out of the sky. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the reason why she's leaving, and I think she's 100% correct. Because think about, she has lied so thoroughly for so long for Trump. I mean, she was defending the Epstein pedophile cabal. That's what she was doing. I mean, just loathsome, loathsome shit. Defending war crimes, defending the Epstein pedophile cabal, lying to the American people about the economy and 1,000 other things, right? Just basically falling on the sword for this obese pedophile, war criminal, rapist, okay? And now she learns he literally wouldn't care if I lived or died. I mean, he put me on a plane that he thought was going to get attacked. So, yeah, when I guess what she realized is, oh, would you look at that? Loyalty is only a one-way street with Donald Trump. He doesn't give a fuck about you. He doesn't care at all about you, but you need to care about him, and you need to care about him more than you care about yourself or your family. And so within 24 hours, boom, she was gone. Marco Rubio is the biggest fucking cuck in the world if he doesn't also leave, because I think he was also left on that plane. I think Trump took Hegseth with him, but he left Rubio on the plane that they thought was going to get shot. So, yeah, he doesn't give a fuck about any of you, man. The guy is the biggest fucking coward bitch in the world. Runs to save his ass while leaving others for dead. It's so disturbing. So disturbing. All right. Well, I'm sure you guys have seen this by now, but Trump's transportation secretary, Sean Duffy, he decided to handpick his 26-year-old son-in-law to basically take his former seat in Wisconsin's 7th district. Okay, so the kid's name is Michael Alfonso. He was given $1 million from Sean Duffy's old campaign account, so just being gifted the money, and he received campaign donations from corporations and PACs that Duffy's department oversees, and he ended up winning his fucking primary. So a 26-year-old kid, dumb as rocks. I say that because I saw an interview with him, and he's dumb as rocks. And he just got gifted this seat, this congressional seat. Now, he still has a general election, I believe, coming up. He's up against a Democrat. I don't know how Trumpy the district is, how red the district is. I have no idea. I haven't really looked into that. But, I mean, the Republican Party has become a joke. I mean, this is just like a sick, sick joke. You're just gifting your congressional seat to your shitty fucking son-in-law who has the IQ of a potato. Like, what a sick joke. What a sick joke. But, I mean, shit. It's just like they did with Darlene Graham, right? They picked Lindsey Graham's sister. Hey, here's a fucking Senate seat. This is yours now. This is what they do. It's all about nepotism. It's all about ass kissing. It's all about corruption. That's how you climb the ladder in the Republican Party. This is not a meritocracy by any stretch of the imagination. This is not who's good for the American people. No, it's a sick joke. And this is like, I don't know, it just strikes me as a very clear sign of a decrepit, dying empire. That's what it looks like to me. Okay. New poll came out for Texas. This is the first poll that Paxton has been up this election cycle, but it has Paxton leading over Tallarico. Paxton 47, Tallarico 46. Here's the problem. According to Polling USA, this poll is R plus 15. So they massively oversampled Republicans, and Paxton still only won by 1 point. Okay. There was also apparently no Spanish version of the poll, which is like just absolutely criminal for Texas because those people are going to vote, right? And even after biasing the poll as much as possible, it's still Paxton +1. So I think the Texas Republicans are absolutely panicking, and that's a really great example of it right there. That they have to cheat to get Paxton even just a simple fucking 1 point lead against Tallarico. Okay. Well, guess what? We talked a lot about the Wisconsin governor race. You had Francesca Hong versus David Crowley. Hong was the Democratic Socialist. David Crowley is sort of the centrist Democrat. And it turns out that you had Crowley eke out a victory, which, Hong was up big in the polls and massively underperformed, and Crowley overperformed. And we could speculate as to why he ended up winning, how he ended up pulling it off. Were there crossover Republican voters who voted in the Democratic primary for Crowley? We don't know. However, one of the things that the centrist Democrat said is, if Hong's the nominee, we're going to lose. We're going to lose because she's too extreme. She's too far left. She's, said cancel Thanksgiving. She was on the defund the police type shit. It's going to hurt us. And most importantly, they're going to call her a socialist and clonk her over the head with that over and over and over and over and over. Okay. Well, guess what? Tom Tiffany, who is the Republican candidate for governor in Wisconsin, he came out and he is calling David Crowley a socialist, just like Francesca Hong. So, as we told you, this is what they call everybody on the Democratic side. Doesn't matter if you're centrist, doesn't matter if you're left-wing, doesn't matter if you're like a right-wing Democrat. They will call you a socialist. They called Hillary Clinton a socialist. They called Barack Obama a socialist. They are nowhere near socialist. But guess what? That's all they have. All they have is labels. All they have is smear attacks. All they have is like Islamophobia and racism and bigotry. And so they're just going to reach into their bag of labels and throw them at you, and they're going to call David Crowley all the same shit they would have called Francesca Hong. They're going to call David Crowley, and they're doing it right the fuck now. Now, the thing about this race that scares me a little bit, I'll say a little bit, I still think Crowley is likely to win, but the thing that scares me a little bit is Crowley is pro-data center, and he's open about that fact. Well, Tom Tiffany just came out and said, I'm in favor of a data center moratorium. Now, by the way, I do not believe the Republican for a second that he's in favor of a data center moratorium. I think it's all political. I think he knows it's a popular position to take, and that's why he's taking it, right? But what I would say to David Crowley is, bro, you gotta catch up. Like, you gotta say the right thing. You gotta take that position. Because he can end up beating you if he stakes just a couple issues and acts like he's to the left of you on those issues like this one. That can come back and bite you in the ass, and you can lose. And it's going to be a massive blue wave across this country, but a Republican could win the governor's seat in Wisconsin in this scenario. So Crowley needs to adopt the data center moratorium that Hong was running on. And yeah, I mean, don't blow this. Don't blow this. And I feel like that's one of those positions that could blow it because people are furious about these data centers. And Tiffany, I think, would even be more pro data center than Crowley, but he's out there pretending like he's against them. And so it's just like iceberg dead ahead. I'm giving the warning now. I don't want to see any Republican beat any Democrat in this country. And I feel like Crowley might lose if he keeps going down this path. So wakey, like, you got to adjust on certain policies, man. And let's hope that we can defeat Tom Tiffany here. Okay. So let me also give you this. So like I said, Oliver Larkin coming on Crystal Kyle and Friends later today. Don't miss it. Sign up below on Substack to see the full thing. You'll get a little teaser clip that drops later today for everybody, for free for everybody. But listen to this. So you have Oliver Larkin, Elijah Manley, and Angie Nixon, all Democrats running in Florida, okay? And they have a rally in Florida that was supposed to happen, but the venue canceled it. Why? After pressure from Democratic Representative Gottlieb, okay, and Trump advisor Laura Loomer. They teamed up to say to the outlet, no, how dare you do this? And I think they smeared Rashida Tlaib. I think she's supposed to be at the event. They smeared her. And I don't know if they tried to, they're pro-terrorism or whatever the fuck. But they leaned into Islamophobia. They tried to say, oh, these are anti-Semites or whatever the fuck. So the venue broke the contract. And it's all because the Democrats who were speaking refused to uninvite Rashida Tlaib. And so the venue broke the contract. Okay, well then they get a new venue. Guess what? The intimidation campaign ratchets up. Laura Loomer is working with Diet MAGA Democrats. The second venue fucking cancels their thing. The second venue cancels it. Okay? Now they have a third space that they, have already got lined up, and I believe the event is actually tonight. They have a third space for it. Hopefully that one doesn't cancel. But understand what we're up against here, bro. We're up against just a torrent of hatred and bigotry and bullshit Islamophobic attacks. They're going after Oliver. They're calling him an anti-Semite. That's bullshit. They're going after Elijah Manley and Angie Nixon, who are also fucking awesome. They're going after these people, and it's the Diet MAGA Democrats teaming up with Laura Loomer. You have Neera Tanden retweeting Laura Loomer, who was saying that Abdul El-Sayed was, doing taqiyya in this country. What the fuck? Taqiyya is like, oh, he's being dishonest and misleading and using his his Islamic religion to get in there and do bad things. Like I'm sort of summing it up as simply as possible. I'm probably butchering it a little bit, but you get the point. It's like, oh, he's tricking you. He's like this dastardly Muslim who's tricking the people, and he's going to get in there and boom, do a lot of bad things like Sharia law. And you have Neera Tanden retweeting Laura Loomer. This is disgusting. Any Democrat who works with Laura Loomer, you are not a Democrat. You are a Diet MAGA Democrat. You are not, like, this tent. We have a big tent. It ain't big enough for you, bitch. We don't want you in this tent. We don't want you in this part. If you're teaming up with the fascist Laura Loomer, I'm sorry. You're part of the problem. And so incredibly, incredibly disturbing stuff. Everybody should be condemning Laura Loomer, Neera Tanden, fucking Gottlieb, all these assholes who are trying to cancel Oliver Larkin and Elijah Manley and Angie Nixon and Rashida Tlaib. We're right. We're right. They're wrong. We're fighting back against MAGA. They're not. We're trying to end the wars and end the support of a genocide. They're not. We're trying to deliver for the American people and do universal health care. They're not. So solidarity to everybody at this rally, and definitely go check them out. I love them, by the way. Okay. Let me give you some more, y'all. So I'm sure you guys saw this, but Scott Jennings was doing a segment on his shitty radio show that nobody listens to, and basically not only smeared Hassan, he outright committed defamation because he played a bunch of clips of Hassan completely out of context, and then he pretended, and I'm not kidding about this, that Hassan is in favor of lynching black people. I'm not kidding. This is what he said. He said that Hassan is in favor of lynching black people. Hassan came out and said, I've never seen a more clear-cut instance of defamation than this in my entire life. Blatant disregard for the truth. And that's right. And so now Hassan is talking to lawyers, and he might actually go after Scott Jennings for defamation. Because, listen, it's one thing, look, I'm a public figure. There's a lot of public figures out there in this political space. We let a lot go, bro. We let a lot slide. We really do. Because the standard is so high for defamation. Basically, if there's like any stretch of a case that the person could either just be wrong, then they're allowed to say whatever the fuck they want. They might incorrectly think you believe X, Y, or Z, and if they smear you on that basis, that's perfectly fine. It's a sincerely held belief. It needs to be malicious, and it needs to be proven that it's malicious and that they knew they were wrong and they spread it anyways, particularly to just hurt you as much as possible, right? There's malice that needs to be there, and that's a tough thing to prove in a court of law. Well, I actually think this hits that bar, and you have other people who are not even pro-Hassan, who are anti-Hassan, who said they think this reaches that bar. And so this is what we're dealing with now, man. We're dealing with people, they overreach so much, they've beaten up on Hassan so much, and they feel like they can go, there are no limits anymore. They can say anything, they can do anything, up until the point where they're saying one of the leading left-wing commentators is pro-lynching black people. You are a fucking moron if you believe that, but he doesn't believe that. He's lying, he's smearing him, and he's defaming him. And so I hope that fucking catches up to him. CNN, what the fuck are you doing employing this guy? I know you got to do your bullshit, both sides nonsense. You got to do your false equivalence nonsense. You got to, there's some crazies on the right and crazies on the left. Fuck that. This guy's a liar. He's on he's on my TV screen every night, lying to the faces of the American people. He's been lying about, I had a 20-minute phone call with Mitch McConnell. Oh, yeah, I was hanging out with Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell was doing backflips in the parking lot, bro. I don't know if you saw that. Oh, he looks like a spring chicken. He's ready to go, broski. You let this guy lie to your people over and over and over. He is not a journalist. He's not a reporter. He's not even a commentator. He's a paid hack. He's a hatchet man. By the way, he's on a Salem radio station. They are funded by Israel. So there are direct ties. Who is he smearing on behalf of? Is he smearing on behalf of corporate America? Is he smearing on behalf of the Israel lobby? Is he smearing on behalf of the military-industrial complex? Take your motherfucking pick, because he takes money from all of them bitches. Okay? So what a sick joke. He should be let go from CNN immediately, and he should be forced to issue a motherfucking apology for lying brazenly about Hassan in that way. Absolutely disgusting. I don't even care what you think about Hassan. You can personally dislike him. You can hate him. But the fact of the matter is, you know this wrong. This is wrong. Everybody knows this is wrong. He's completely and utterly full of shit. The clip is totally out of context, like the other fucking 78 clips they run about Hassan to try to smear him. I'm sick of this shit. I'm fucking sick of this shit. It's enough already. Jesus Christ. Okay. How about this one? So Republican Representative Glenn Grothman, he was at some event, some AFP Michigan event, okay? I think it's America First Priorities or Anyway, it doesn't matter. Some right-wing group was having an event. This guy's roughly 312 years old, and he's a sitting Republican. And he said out loud, where everybody could hear him, quote, "Actually, I think we should be doing a little more for the rich." Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Republicans are so high on their own supply. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the White House, they have the judiciary. They're so used to getting away with whatever the fuck they want to get away with. The Democrats are basically letting Republicans run wild. And so they get to the point where they feel like we can say no wrong, we can do no wrong. And at a time when income and wealth inequality is worse than the fucking Gilded Age, homies out there going, "Actually, I think we should be doing a little more for the rich." Oh, do you? Oh, do you, Glenn? Is that what you do? You service billionaires and trillionaires from your position at the Capitol in Washington, D.C.? And the answer is yes, that is how he views his job. Super serve the Epstein class, super serve the military-industrial complex, and say fuck you to all working class Americans. This guy is not in favor of raising the minimum wage. He is not in favor of unions. He is not in favor of universal child care or free health care. He's not in favor of any of the policies that would actually help you and improve your life. Getting rid of your medical debt? Hell no. But give Elon Musk $38 billion to make a bunch of rockets explode? Yes, sign him up for that one. Quote, "Actually, I think we should be doing a little more for the rich," is what this guy said. Grotesque. On that alone, he should be kicked to the motherfucking curb, bro. I'm so sick of these Republicans. Holy shit. They gotta go. Like, they all have to fucking go. This is unacceptable that these people are tanking the country on purpose. They are looting and pillaging the country on purpose for the Epstein class, for a pedophile cabal of billionaires. Jesus Christ. Speaking of a pedophile cabal of billionaires, Elon Musk is being very open about the fact that he's now pushing to repeal Alaska's voting system. Quote, "Tech billionaire Elon Musk has given $1.5 million to a group supporting the repeal of Alaska's voting system, according to a report filed with the state Friday. Ballot Measure 2, which will appear on the November ballot, seeks to repeal Alaska's ranked choice voting method, along with open primaries and campaign finance laws that were themselves adopted by ballot measure in 2020. So he's such a cartoon villain that now he's using his fucking $1 trillion to directly try to repeal direct democracy that we have in some states in this country. Think about that. Seriously, stop and think about that. He's got all the money in the world. He could get rid of extreme poverty. He can get rid of child hunger and starvation. He can give medicines to people in developing countries who desperately need it for malaria or HIV or whatever. But instead, he's doing the opposite. He took away their medicine, okay? He cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels with Doge. And now he's going, how do I take whatever little power regular people have, how do I take that away from them? Fuck direct democracy. Fuck the people deciding. And you know why he does this? I'll tell you why he does this. Because states that have direct democracy, whenever they vote on a left-wing position, it wins like 80% of the time. Whether it be legalizing weed or raising the minimum wage or any of a number of different proposals, about 80% of the time, the left-wing position wins. He doesn't like that. And so now this is what he's spending his money on, this disgusting, ketamine-addicted, bloated, Epstein Island wannabe loser. Okay, I say wannabe because he begged to go to the island and they were like, I don't know, bro, he's a little bit too weird for that. I don't think we want him on the island. Could you imagine? You want to go to Rape Island that you're begging to go, and fucking Jeffrey Epstein is going, he's a little too weird. I'm not sure we want him here. Oh my God, what a loser, bro. That is like legendary loser status. Oh my days. Okay. So we also have this. This is a trend now we're seeing these days, but 30,000 pounds of imported raw beef from Argentina has now been recalled after failure to reinspect following its arrival in the United States. This comes after the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service lost 9% of its staff last year because of the illegal Doge cuts. So they got rid of the routine food safety inspections. They, cut back big time on the USDA, and now 30,000 pounds of beef are being recalled. By the way, I also told you guys, this beef that we're accepting from Argentina and undercutting U.S. farmers, by the way, the beef we're accepting from there is much lower quality because they use a certain chemical that they pump into the beef, which is actually terrible for people. There's been studies showing that this chemical is terrible for people. And Trump doesn't care about health, doesn't care about safety, doesn't care about regulations. So he's allowing this lower quality beef that's basically toxic to be pumped into the U.S. market. Undercutting U.S. farmers. And also, by the way, we have screwworm destroying our fucking cattle in this country, which is another big problem. But 30,000 pounds of raw beef now being recalled because fucking, of course, they are. How about this? New data reveals that there have been 7,400 foodborne illnesses in 2026 alone. That is 5 times more than the yearly national average from the last 5 years. So Trump gets in there, Elon Musk gets in there, RFK Jr. gets in there as head of HHS. And then all of a sudden, it is hell. Like it's basically like we live pre having a regulatory state. It's basically like there's no cop on the beat making sure any of the products that we use on a regular basis are safe. And so it's the wild, wild west, and corporations are running wild. They're making more profit. The food has never been less safe than it is right now. I mean, you probably got to go back to the early 1900s for it to have ever been this bad. And now we have all these illnesses breaking out left and right. You got GLASP in certain food products and people scramble at the last second to try to get it fixed because there are all of the mechanisms that were there to keep you and me safe are now no longer there. And that's something about government that you don't realize it under Democrats until it's gone. That, oh my God, it's true. The Democrats are the adults in the room. The Democrats dot the I's and cross the T's and do the basics of governance very well. Whereas the Republicans go in there and they take a sledgehammer and they swing it at everything good about our government that keeps it functioning. I mean, it's insane what we're looking at. Okay. We also have this one, life-threatening recall of more than 38 million eggs upgraded to FDA's highest risk level. Quote, there's a reasonable probability of death. So we have that. You know, there's been a lot of talk about salmonella outbreaks. You know, people being sent to the hospital for all sorts of health problems here. So it's just insane. But as Melanie Diarigo says on Twitter, we're at the no one can afford to eat, but if you can, you may die stage of Republican governance. That's exactly where we are. Okay. So we also have this. Representative Anna Paulina Luna's office inadvertently pasted an AI chatbot's response to legislation. So they have, in the defense bill, there's a part that says Claude responded. And then when she was pressed on this, people were like, hey, you're using AI for this shit. What the fuck is this? Her reaction was, quote, most staff use it. A Washington Post investigation found that a large share of congressional legislation is being drafted and with the help of Claude, ChatGPT, and other LLMs. LLMs are also being used by staff to sort constituent mail and pen speeches. So now we're at the point now where society is degrading so thoroughly that we just outsource everything to AI, and people are now no longer capable of thinking. They can't think, they can't act, they can't do their job properly. Now it's just like, I don't know, just pawn it off to AI and let it do it for us. But like, I'm not kidding when I say our brains are going to atrophy if we go down this path. And it's going to get to the point where people, 100 years ago will be far more intelligent than we are. Like the brain is like a muscle. You have to exercise it, right? Like you have to use it, and that's how you sharpen it, and that's how you get smarter and better. And right now they're just like, fuck that. Let's just outsource everything to AI. So now AI is writing our fucking legislation, and then when a congressperson is called out on it, they go, yeah, we're doing it. Who cares? Nobody cares. It's just so dystopian. It really is. Okay. We also have this from the Hormuz letter. The UAE has released several billion dollars of Iran's frozen assets held in UAE banks, including 2 tons of gold worth $283 million. And the goal is to try to make it so Iran spares the UAE from future attacks. So now you have different countries trying to work around the United States and cut separate deals with Iran because they're fucking tired of being on the losing side of the war. Like Trump lost the war, it's already over. Israel lost the war, it's already over. It's all over but the crying. And so now these other countries are going, hey man, we'll make a separate deal with you because we know that these guys are losers. We know that there's no way they're going to win. And so you want to talk about the superpower immediately losing power and relevance. I mean, it's happening right in front of our eyes, and it's happening at a record pace. Okay, speaking of Israel, Reuters is reporting that Israeli settlers in the occupied West Bank diverted a spring that was a lifeline for a Palestinian village called Fasayil, and they cut irrigation pipes in June and they converted it into a tourist attraction, leaving nearby farms barren. So they basically are like they took away the water for this Palestinian village, and now they're diverting it, and like they're taking the water, and they let their farms basically go totally barren. So, and by the way, this is a tale as old as time. The illegal Israeli settlers have been doing shit like this forever, okay? And now we just have more evidence of it. We have it on fucking video. We have, direct accounts of these sorts of things happening right in front of our eyes, and it's barely going to be talked about because it's a day that ends in Y, and people know that the illegal Israeli settlers, they know they're terrorists, they know they're stealing land, and nobody cares, nobody does anything. It should have happened a long time ago that the U.S. cut off all the money and all the weapons to Israel, because the Israeli government, they support what the illegal settlers are doing. They support it. They pretend like they don't, but they do. The IDF often plays backup for them. But they're taking more and more territory, and they're destroying more and more Palestinians' lives, and we have specific stories here that are just absolutely positively heartbreaking. Dropside News says, Israeli forces are deliberately setting southern Lebanon ablaze. Firefighters and residents told The Guardian. So they have specific examples of like the IDF is purposefully starting fires and trying to like burn down all of southern Lebanon. And what they're trying to do is widespread terrorism, ethnic cleansing, genocide, then they steal the land and they rebuild. Again, this is what Israel does. This is like, this is not their first rodeo. They've done this shit for a very long time, and now they're just being caught more directly. And again, very little talk about it is what you're going to see. Very little talk about it. We also have this. More Perfect Union says the LAPD declined to renew its flock contract after an internal audit found 161 false stolen vehicle alerts in just 2 months. That's a 32.3% false positive rate. So that's insane, but it's also perfectly consistent with what we've seen about flock cameras from all the other evidence, all the other studies. It's both used to spy on innocent people from creepy perverts, and it's also wrong with all of the criminal stuff that matters. And so we basically, from the Patriot Act and onward, we're now at the point where we put it on steroids and human growth hormone, and we basically have set up a mass surveillance country, a police state, a tyranny, and it's here. And the evidence of the stuff is just absolutely disturbing. Okay. We also have this incredibly heinous story, but officers typed in the wrong license plate number. Okay. They arrested the wrong person for stealing a car. They charged him anyway. And then the victim ended up dying by suicide. So the title in the New York Times is, after a typo, officers used excessive force in an arrest, a report finds. Very disturbing stuff here. And there's got to be more accountability, bro. This is so insane when you read stories like this. Somebody's life absolutely ruined and ended over a fucking mistake. It shouldn't be that difficult to not have something like this happen. Okay. J.D. Vance is currently shoving his foot in his mouth around this country. So he said in a recent event that he wants to end the U.S. dollar's position as a global reserve currency because he thinks it allows Americans to consume too much and do so too cheaply. Okay? So that's quite an admission, especially at a time when inflation is going crazy, grocery prices are up, gas prices are up, people can't afford Dickie McGee's axe, and he's out there going, Americans can consume too much too cheaply. How about you ask Americans what they think about that, fella? My guess is they're not going to say that. My guess is they think shit is too expensive right now, okay? But J.D. Vance came out and said that. Now, here's why this is disturbing. As I always said about Trump, he's either so stupid that, like, he kind of acts like a Manchurian candidate even though he isn't one, or he just is a Manchurian candidate. But now J.D. Vance is getting that same label on him because he has to know that if the U.S. is no longer the world's reserve currency, then we're talking about a guaranteed depression in this country. We're talking about pain that we haven't seen since 1930, okay? And for him to just casually say that, again, it makes me think, are you a Manchurian candidate or are you just so stupid that you're acting like one? But this is like unacceptable. Like if you're vice president of the United States and your position is, we should lose our position as the world reserve currency, plunging us into a depression and like basically collapsing the global economy and having to do like a page one rewrite of the system. I mean, that is like, you're begging for pain. You're begging for suffering. You're begging for like a lost decade with all sorts of harms and ills being done to average people. I mean, that's what this is. So I don't know, man, this is, it's a shocking thing from him for me to hear because I know he's smart enough to know what that means, like what would happen as a direct result of this. So very bizarre for him to say something like that. But he's out there and he's saying it, and he's incredibly dangerous, and he might be the heir apparent to Trump when eventually Trump is no longer with us. Okay, so you guys all know about the tax that Zoran is doing on second homes of mega rich people in New York City. Well, apparently a judge issued a temporary order blocking parts of that law, okay? Well, somebody did some digging and they found out very quickly that the judge who blocked this appears to be a sprawling property owner and has, I believe, multiple very expensive properties in New York that he owns. So, like, the tax would impact him directly. And he decided, I got to slap this down. So what the fuck? Come on. It is so pathetic. It is so dumb. Like, first of all, he should recuse himself from the case. Second of all, he didn't do that already. So if I'm being serious, he should fucking be charged because this is a direct conflict of interest. This should be completely and utterly illegal. Like, there's a code of ethics for lower level courts. There's not for the Supreme Court, but there should be. Okay. But there's a code of ethics totally fucking disregarding it, totally blowing it off. You are impacted by this tax, and so you're, striking down parts of it. It's completely biased. You have no right to make this decision. So just absolutely grotesque. You hate to see it. But, Zoran is racking up W's there like nobody's business. So we'll see what happens. But this guy's a disgrace. He's an absolute disgrace. Staten Island judge who blocked parts of his tax increase on wealthy people's second homes. Okay. Also, wanted to give you this. In fact, I think, let's end with this one here. But, so Lauren Boebert's son was arrested for child sexual exploitation. Okay? Child sexual exploitation. Disturbing, the party of the Epstein files. Pedocon theory is a theory like gravity is a theory, as you can see here. But, there's a TMZ headline that I had to share with you. It says, exclusive, Lauren Boebert's son used the N-word in texts related to child sexual exploitation arrest, cops say. Lauren Boebert's son used the N-word in texts related to child sexual exploitation arrest, cops say. I don't even know how that would work. Like, how does that work? What are you talking about? What are you calling somebody the N-word before you sexually exploit them? Like, what the fuck is this? I don't know the details. I don't want to know the details. But that is some white trash shit if I've ever seen it. I don't know. I don't know how old he is. He seems pretty young. But apparently, with his mom jacking dudes off in theaters during shows, not the best role model for this kid. And now he's doing child sexual exploitation while randomly using the N-word. Ladies and gentlemen, the Republican Party. I give you the Republican Party. There you have it. All right, guys. Love you all very much. Like I said, tune in. Crystal Kyle and friends. Oliver Larkin coming on. He's the GOAT. Support his campaign. All that fun stuff. And I'll talk to you soon. Peace.